Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The northwest flow providing a gorgeous Wednesday afternoon. Sunshine in control, 77 for the high. Tonight, clear skies, 57 for the overnight low. Thursday, keep it going. Sunny skies, 78. Friday, partly sunny, 80 degrees. Maybe a spot shower Friday afternoon, but tough to find. Expect scattered showers and thunderstorms around, though, for the first weekend of June. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Serving my country required sacrifice that changed my life forever. I remember the day I came home. Because of my injuries, this house wasn't right for me anymore. I remember the narrow doorways, the small bathrooms, the shelves out of reach when in my wheelchair. Every day was full of obstacles. I felt trapped. I remember a better day, the day my family received a specially adapted custom home from Homes for Our Troops. That day changed everything. Now we have a safe and accessible home to enjoy the freedom I fought for. This place, our home, is exactly what we needed to rebuild our lives.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives. Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
Mark Cox here. If you're planning your next outdoor project, I can save you some money right now, thanks to my friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. If you call them and mention my name, they'll give you 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. It's that easy. 636-532-4054 or just go to chesterfieldfence.com. You're going to love working with this company. They've been under the same ownership since 1968. They take a lot of pride in what they do, and it's the sign you have the very best. They do wood fences, vinyl fences, same with decks. They can do a beautiful natural cedar deck, or they can use that Vecadec vinyl decking with no maintenance. They've even added a new color this year. It is pewter. It's a gorgeous gray color with a beautiful variation for that more natural look. Call Chesterfield Fence and Deck today, 636-532-4054 or chesterfieldfence.com.
You've listened to 97.1 FM Talk. You've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend right here on 97.1 FM Talk. And you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Think Trump did something illegal in the New York hush money case. I've been interested in whether or not these numbers would change at all during the course of this trial. Simply put, John, they have not. Pre-opening statements think Trump did something illegal, 46%. After the direct examination of Michael Cohen by the prosecution, look at where we are now, 46%. The percentage of Americans who think that the charges are very serious, in fact, dropped from 40% to a little bit more than 35% during the course of this trial. So, yes, perhaps things might have changed with those 12 jurors, but when it comes to the larger American public, there has been no change, at least so far, John.
That's CNN. No change in the polls, no change in public opinion, and now we wait. The jury been given instructions. The jury must be unanimous for any guilty verdict. And the idea of unanimity, is that how we're saying it? If Ryan were here, he'd be dogging on me right now in a big way. The idea that these guilty verdicts have to be unanimous across all 12 jurors, Marshawn kind of changed that up a little bit. And there's a 4-4-4 rule. We're going to get into that here in a little bit. That kind of has us scratching our heads going, what the heck is going on here? Let's listen to Will Scharf on the issue.
Yeah, I think it's patently absurd. I think it's insane that we didn't have clarity on what the underlying crime was for this long. But again, without business records fraud, there is no case. And I think we have made the case. We have made the case quite persuasively that there was no business records fraud, that the business records in question were accurate, that there was certainly no fraudulent intent with respect to how they were made. And for those reasons alone, any fair jury, I believe, would speedily acquit.
Dramatic swings back and forth on what this jury is going to do. And yesterday I was thinking, no, it's going to be a hung jury. I'm pretty confident they're not going to be able to get an acquittal. They're not going to be able to get a conviction. The way that the judge has worked very, very hard to complicate this, that's the way I see it. That's a perspective. I understand that. I will be so interested down the line to see how all of this materializes, if anything, once you get away from being so close to the sun on this issue, if anything more is revealed about what is going on. The bias of this judge really, really taints anything that I see him do. When I hear that he does it, it's very hard for me to see it in an unbiased way. We were listening to Andy McCarthy this morning, and I said, yesterday we heard Brad said that he thought he was still going to be acquitted. I've said hung jury. The idea that he would be convicted, that was a very, very low response from you folks when we polled that last week. Here's Andy McCarthy this morning.
Let me try to explain this as simply as I can. You cannot have a conspiracy unless two or more people agree to commit a statutory crime. And what the government lawyers here have told the jury is that these guys conspired not to commit a statutory crime, but to commit something that was legal, namely to suppress politically damaging information in hopes of influencing the 2016 election. They keep calling that the conspiracy to influence the election. That is not a crime. The only thing that can make that a crime, Bill, is if you show that they interfered or conspired to influence the election by unlawful means. And the unlawful means in this case is the federal election violation. The problem with that is there's not a shred of evidence in the case that Trump was ever even thinking about the federal election laws, much less willfully conspiring to violate them.
So Andy McCarthy talking about how the evidence of Donald Trump conspiring to break an election law, they didn't prove that at all. And he'll go on here to say, we'll find out here in a little bit, how the judge allowed specific things to just be accepted as fact without having to be proven.
The federal laws don't even come into the case until after the Wall Street Journal in early 2018 leaks the existence of the NDAs, and at that point, the Federal Election Commission starts asking questions. But that's in 2018. If it doesn't come up till 2018, they can't have been thinking about it in 2016 and 2017, but Judge Merchan has allowed the prosecutors again and again and again to tell the jury that Michael Cohen pled guilty to federal election crimes, and that's how they're trying to fill the hole, even though that evidence is not admissible against Trump.
So the evidence isn't supposed to be in the courtroom, isn't supposed to be presented in front of the jury, and yet here it is. And Dana Perino, this is where this morning when I was listening to this exchange between Dana Perino and Andy McCarthy, a very smart legal mind, a friend of the Andy Fry Show as well, we keep asking, Andy, you got any time for us? And he's literally on the street outside the courthouse right now doing all week hits, honestly, with Fox News. Dana Perino asks Andy McCarthy about the likely outcome here. And Andy McCarthy has written already that Donald Trump is going to be convicted.
And is that why you wrote a piece for National Review that says Merchan and Trump conceal the holes in Bragg's case, why the former president is likely to be convicted?
Yes.
So, yes, that's what Andy McCarthy thinks. That's what Andy McCarthy feels, that because of the way that this has been set up, post the argument part, post the closing arguments part, that we are now in a position where the deck has been stacked enough against Donald Trump that a conviction is likely. And that is something that I did not think would happen at all.
Dana, there's a concept in the law called judicial notice. Like, if it comes up in the case that Albany is the capital of New York, right? I don't have to prove that to the jury. I can ask the judge to take judicial notice that everybody knows Albany is the capital of New York. Judge Merchan has treated the federal election convictions of Michael Cohen like that in this case. It's like the jury doesn't have to worry about proving or whether the government proved that, because it's an established fact in the case that there must have been a federal election crime because Michael Cohen pled guilty to it. And Michael Cohen was told the jury, encouraged by the prosecutors to do this, that he committed that crime, which is the way the prosecutor framed it, at the direction of President Trump. So they think that's already settled. I'd be shocked if they thought that that was an element of the offense that the prosecutors actually have to prove. So Judge Merchan took care of that part of it.
So there you have Andy McCarthy laying out how parts of the Cohen accomplice word that was being used in court and the previous charges that Cohen was found guilty of, and the connection that Donald Trump has to him, all of this stuff is going to be used against Donald Trump in a way that shouldn't have been admissible to begin with.
For his part, what Trump did was he treated the non-disclosure agreements, which are legal, as if they were radioactive and that he had to stay 1,000,000 miles away from it. And his lawyers told the jury in the opening statement that Trump never reimbursed Cohen, when there's a mountain of evidence that he reimbursed Cohen, and he shouldn't have been worried about reimbursing Cohen because it's legal to do an NDA. So I look at this and I don't blame the Trump defense for what I think is going to happen here, because I think the fix is in between the prosecutors and the judge, and allowing the guilty plea of Michael Cohen, which is inadmissible evidence against Trump. That's very basic. Even Merchan agrees with that. But he allowed the prosecutors again and again to stress it to the jury. And if you're the jury sitting there, you're saying to yourself, they wouldn't have the prosecutors tell me that 127 times unless it was important.
So Andy McCarthy ultimately believes that because of these different things that have been permitted in the court in the trial and certain things that have been limited from the trial, always tilting in the same exact direction, that this is going to result in a guilty conviction of Donald Trump. The facts of the matter are that the jury, now that they've deliberated, they could come back right now with a verdict. And we are on verdict watch right now. And 97.1 FM Talk is going to be there to make sure that the second that happens, that we break into what we're doing to bring you the reaction and the headline as soon as it does take place. I mentioned the 444 rule before, and we're going to talk about this throughout the course of the show. We're going to have Deroy Murdock on at 1:05. Deroy, Brad, as I understand it, Deroy has sat in on the trial.
Yeah, that's the communication that I received from him, and he's eager to talk about it.
I'm eager to listen. And I hope you are as well. You're going to want to be here at 1:05 to get the firsthand account from Deroy Murdock. He's going to bring it here to the Annie Fry Show. And then Joe Concha is going to join us right after that in the 1 o'clock hour at 1:25. And we're going to talk about the ramifications of all of this that's going on. A guilty verdict, an acquittal, maybe the hung jury, which I think is the most likely outcome here. Certainly, Jonathan Turley weighed in on that as well, what he thinks
the
will
most
happen.
likely outcome, in my view, is a hung jury. That depends a great deal on the instructions. And some of the instructions that we're hearing hints about are really rough on the defense. But I still cannot believe that a jury could be unanimous on this evidence.
So Jonathan Turley says hung jury. Andy McCarthy fears conviction. What's going to happen? We do not know. The 444 thing that came up today, and I'm going to read you the report from Fox News' John Roberts, and we'll get into more detail about this a little bit later in the show. This is the tweet. Judge Merchan just told the jury that they do not need unanimity to convict. 4 could agree on one crime, 4 on a different one, and the other 4 on another. He said he would treat 444 as a unanimous verdict. Pause for effect. I don't know how this is going to end up. Hung jury certainly is where I think, and we are on this throughout the course of the show. We're going to cover lots today, but we are going to make sure that we are at the front of this issue as news continues to break on it. Don't go away. We're going to be right here. I want to go to Fox News' Shannon Bream here in just a second because she's weighing in on the latest, what they know from the jury. Anytime the jury comes and asks for clarification from the judge as they are deliberating, that will be made known to the public by way of these reporters it'll become public information. So as information like that comes to public knowledge, we will bring it to you. I did want to give you this one update too, and I don't know that this warrants an entire conversation later on the show. Maybe it does. But there is news just out right now that the charges against 10-time PGA Tour winner Scottie Scheffler were dropped today, 2 weeks after he was arrested just before the second round of the PGA Championship. Jefferson County Attorney Mike McConnell addressed the court and stated the evidence gathered during the investigation backed up Scheffler's claim that the entire situation was a, quote, misunderstanding. The 4 charges, which included felony assault over injuries Louisville Metro Police Department officers sustained during the encounter on May 17th, were dismissed. Last week, Louisville Police Chief Jacqueline Gwynn Villaroel announced during a press conference that Detective Brian Gillis received, quote, corrective action after an internal investigation found that he did not follow proper protocols by failing to turn on his body camera. So there you go. Scottie Scheffler in the clear, all charges against him dismissed. Not the case that we know of right now with Donald Trump. We are waiting for the jury to come back with a verdict. It could be today. It could be this week. It could be next week. Who knows? Let's listen to the latest from Shannon Bream on the issue.
When they were doing the jury instructions, we could get a look at him, and he was very relaxed. It was very much what we've seen from him, sort of resigned, as you said. His eyes closed, he's sitting back. He would, sit up and take a drink of water, occasionally do a note with his attorneys. But I get the sense that after the closings yesterday, both the defense and the prosecution, that the Trump team is starting to feel more and more like a conviction is a real danger for them. All they need is one juror to be a holdout for potential mistrial. And of course, we've talked about if the jury comes out with one or more holdouts, that this judge is most certainly going to send them back with that charge you give the jury. We need you to remember your duty and to go back to this and reconsider things. But think about now, too, this thing's gone on for weeks. They are going to potentially want to pull old testimony. Feels old now. Stormy Daniels, David Pecker, all of those things. They may want to really get back and go through those things as they've got weeks worth of material that they haven't been able to talk about as a jury until today.
Andy, we're reminded in this moment, considering John's question just now about him almost resigning to the fact that he could be found guilty. Let's look back to May 6th in court when the judge talked about the possibility of the former president being put in jail, and his words then. Merchan saying, the last thing I want to do is put you in jail. You're the former president of the United States and possibly the next president as well. There are many reasons why incarceration is truly a last resort for me. I also worry about the people who would have to execute that sanction, the court officers, the correction officers, the Secret Service detail, among others. I want you to understand that I will, if necessary and appropriate. So you consider his words then, and you wonder how this is playing out in his mind now and the jury's, Andy.
Well, let's stick with appropriate, because that brings us back to where we started our conversation. If President Trump, if there's any possibility that he could be sentenced to jail in this case, it's for one reason and one reason alone. Bragg, the district attorney, took a misdemeanor for which there's a 2-year statute of limitations, and he inflated it into a felony with an allegation that Trump was committing or concealing another crime. And now what they're telling Trump is the jury doesn't have to agree on what the other crime is.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason we're here. That's the only reason he's looking at a jail sentence.
Trey, to the point that Sandra was making, Judge Merchan at that time was talking about violations of the gag order.
But if the jury were to return a guilty verdict, Judge Merchan is the one who will hand down sentencing. What do you think he would do?
Well, at the time Judge Merchan said he didn't want to put him in jail, he was still cloaked in a robe of righteousness. He was presumed innocent. If a jury finds him guilty, that cloak is gone. That presumption of innocence is gone. Do I think this is an in custodial prison case? No, he's got no criminal history. He's not a career offender. It's not a crime of violence. And for Pete's sake, this is New York, where you have to do a lot to actually get an in custodial sentence. However, this judge does not like Donald Trump. So would it be an in custodial sentence? Probably not, but I would not say it is an impossibility.
All right, so Andy, Shannon, Trey, you guys are outside of the court. The jury is currently being given a lunch break, although they had the choice to continue deliberating, which some may have chosen to do. So it's fair to say that they're still deliberating right now, and we're going to stand you by.
So you're listening to Fox News. We here at 97.1, the Fox News radio affiliate, able to bring you anything that's happening from, I don't know if they're the mothership, I don't know, whatever. They are there reporting live outside, and anything that breaks, we will bring directly to you here on 97.1, the home for conservative talk in St. Louis. We're grateful for that opportunity to connect you and bring you the information and news you need. Brad Young is going to be with us as soon as we come back. He's going to join us on the live stream as well, so come say hi on the Annie Fry YouTube channel, and we're going to ask him questions. And I got a lot of those questions that I feel are dumb questions, and maybe you have the same ones because we're not legal minds. Brad Young is. He can break down for us, what does this all mean? Brad Young on the Annie Fry Show with answers to our legal questions here in just a minute.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
So I want to talk to you about Ruler Foods and how they can help you save money each time you shop, whether you are in store or just waiting for the delivery to arrive at your door. Delivery is fantastic, isn't it? Ruler Foods now delivers. Make sure that you have signed up for your first delivery by going to rulerfoods.com. Save on delicious produce. The Fry family loves their Ruler Food produce. When you get red or white seedless grapes, boy, do we go through grapes in the Fry house. $1.27 a pound. Raspberries or blackberries, my favorite, $1.67 a pound. If you are looking for lean ground beef, Kroger 73% lean ground beef sold in a 3-pound roll, $2.99 a pound. And you can save on Kroger Big K 12 packs, 2 for $7. Save every time you shop by going to Ruler Foods. If you're ever looking for the weekly circular, the things that are on sale, you're like, oh, Annie mentioned something. I wonder what it was. You go to the website at rulerfoods.com and you can see the circular sitting right there. And you can also find the location that is closest to you, to your normal errands route, to work, to home, to church. It's all there online. Find them at rulerfoods.com.
Mortgage rates have finally dropped. That's right. Golden Oak has 5.375% fixed rates available right now. Our average cash-out customer saves over $1,000 a month. Call today and take advantage of our 5.375 fixed rate. Call 314-567-GOLD. That's 314-567-GOLD.
Golden Oak Lending cured my blues.
5.934 APR. FHA 15-year 20% equity qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated. Keep the air you're paying to heat where it should be with 15% off attic insulation. For a free estimate on attic insulation, visit aircomfortservice.com.
June 27th, Donald Trump debates Joe Biden, and you can only hear it here on 97.1 FM Talk. But you're also invited to the party. We'll all be at Dave & Buster's, so join us June 27th for the debate and visit 971talk.com/events. This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
As an American who handled this trial, I'm a Trump fan 100%. I think what they're doing to him is outrageous.
Today's a big day. I mean, Trump trial is wrapped up. What do you think's going to happen? How do you feel?
You know, my husband, I'm kind of in like a different place. He thinks he's going to get convicted. I think it's just a big nothing burger.
Do you feel that this trial,
it's just a target.
He's a target.
Yeah, he is. They know that he has a chance to make America great again, and they just using that against him. That's what it is. It's just dirty politicians.
Looking for a guilty verdict.
Looking for a guilty verdict.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it could happen?
Could happen.
I think ultimately he'll be able to run even if he is convicted. I think it's more of like a show, and I try to stay away from the noise.
So you're listening to people talking to Sarah Carter in New York. Sounds like a pretty diverse group of people to me. And they seem to think, yeah, this seems to be quite a circus. We're going to bring Brad Young onto the show. He is an attorney. He and I don't get to be on the air at the same time very often because he is usually in here when I'm out. Brad, thank you for being with us here today. It's good to have you.
Oh, my pleasure.
So I'm going to ask people if they have questions to come to the Annie Fry YouTube channel and post them because I'm going to need some help articulating some of the craziness that we're watching here. But I wanted to read to you this headline from Fox News. Jury instructions conclude in Trump's New York City criminal trial. Here's what the jury was told. Jury instructions concluded on Wednesday against former President Trump after the jury was given several critical directions on how to determine the guilt or innocence of the former president, including one controversial instruction that Fox News contributor Jonathan Turley called the coup de grace. Merchan just delivered the coup de grace instruction, Turley explained. He said, there is no need to agree on what occurred. They can disagree on what the crime was among the three choices. Thus, this means that they could split 4-4-4, and he will still treat them as unanimous. Judge Juan Merchan also instructed the jury on knowledge of a conspiracy. According to Fox News' Lydia Hu, who was inside the courtroom on Wednesday, he said mere knowledge of a conspiracy does not make the defendant a co-conspirator. Prosecutors must prove intent. Also, being present with others when they form a conspiracy does not mean that the defendant is part of the conspiracy. Brad, I'm going to turn it over to you, your legal mind and your expertise. When you hear what Judge Merchan is instructing the jury on here, break it down for us in terms that even I can understand. What's he saying?
Well, here's what he's saying, and here's why I think he's wrong, and I agree with Jonathan Turley. But let me start out with that, because to explain what he's doing is this. There are 34 felony counts against former President Trump. The vast majority of those 34 counts are overlapping. In other words, they are crimes that are either exactly the same or extremely similar in terms of the elements of proof. You have to prove A, B, C, and D for crime A. You have to prove A, B, C, and D for crime B, and so forth, all through 34. That's why, say hypothetically, if he were convicted on all 34 charges, he wouldn't have to serve, if each one does 5 years in prison, he wouldn't serve 150 years in prison because they overlap. So, for example, if he were convicted on all charges, I believe the maximum prison sentence that he could serve, which in reality he probably wouldn't serve any jail time. But the bottom line is, what I'm trying to make is, point is this: the maximum amount of jail time he would serve would be about 4 years. Why? Because all of those 34 charges, again, are overlapping. That's a common tactic that prosecutors use. It's called overcharging. And the idea of overcharging is, if I throw enough, as a prosecutor, if I throw enough charges in front of the jury, they're going to assume that he's guilty of something. Otherwise, he wouldn't be charged with so many crimes. If you charge him with just one crime, from a prosecutor's standpoint, then it would be easy for the jury to say, well, did he do this, yes or no? But with 34 charges, it gives the appearance of guilt even with no evidence. So that's a common tactic.
So 34, he's facing 34 felony charges. And what you're saying here right now is that isn't it 34 iterations of the same crime? Yes.
Yeah, it's the exact same activity, but what the prosecutors do, and again, this is not just brag. All prosecutors do, most prosecutors do this. This is very common. So Trump's not being singled out in this instance with these charges because it's a common tactic. But what he's saying to you is, or what the prosecutor is saying here is that if Trump did these types of behaviors, these individual acts, then you can apply it to any of these 34 charges. And that's where this, I think, now becomes reversible error. It's not error to charge somebody with 34 different crimes. What is an error is for the judge to say, you only have to convict, 4 of you only have to agree on, let's say, felony A, and if 4 of you agree on felony B, and if 4 of you agree on felony C, then 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals 12. You've got a conviction. Right? That's the part that I believe swerves into reversible error.
So when you say reversible error, I'm going to add Rick's question here. How can each charge not demand a unanimous verdict? What do you mean by reversible error? What do you mean? Like, I just don't understand how you could parse a jury like this and use it to convict somebody. And I also heard, I'm just going to add this, that I think it might have been Trey Gowdy was talking about a defendant being cloaked in the shroud of innocence, and that you'd have to penetrate that cloud of innocence in order to prove guilt. You are found guilty or not guilty because your innocence exists until proven otherwise. Every single opportunity that the judge seems to have to personally remove that shroud of innocence that Donald Trump should have as a defendant in an American court, seems like the judge is going in there to do it, and this 444 thing seems like yet another opportunity to do that, unless I'm misunderstanding it.
No, you're not. You've got it exactly right, Annie. So let me give you an example from Harvey Weinstein. This is a great example. Literally at the exact same time that Stormy Daniels was testifying, the New York Supreme Court overturned many of Harvey Weinstein's convictions. Why? Because this is New York, mind you. The New York Supreme Court stated that the amount of titillating and salacious type of evidence was not relevant and therefore prejudiced the jury. Now, it's ironic that it was the court handed that award down at the exact same time that Stormy Daniels was testifying. But I'm giving you this as an example of reversible error. If a judge makes a mistake, and also keep this in mind. Sorry, I'm chasing a lot of rabbits here, but keep this in mind. Jury instructions is far and away the number one reason that convictions get overturned, bar none. The vast majority of convictions that get overturned are done so based upon improper jury instructions to the jury. Because this is when the judge says, if you believe A, then you must convict of B. If you believe C, then you must convict on charge D, and so forth. So, having said that, I brought in Harvey Weinstein here for this purpose. If the judge makes an error in terms of evidence that's admitted or instructions that are given to a jury, once the jury convicts, just like they did in Harvey Weinstein, that goes up on appeal. the courts can overturn that. The appellate courts can overturn that. It's called reversible error, meaning that because of this mistake, the conviction no longer stands, and the prosecution has two choices: A, drop the charges, or B, retry the defendant on the same charges, and this time not make reversible error. That's what happened with Harvey Weinstein. And what Turley is saying here and what I am saying here is this type of instruction where you do 4 + 4 + 4 = 12, bingo, you've got a conviction. That type of structure is clearly reversible error.
Oh, man, I appreciate you so much, Brad, for giving us this time this afternoon to parse through all of this. We're going to ask you to hold on because I'm getting questions coming in on the YouTube channel. I want to get the listeners' thoughts on this as well for you. So if you have a question for Brad Young or Brad Range, we will go back and forth and have them answer your question. Have Brad Young answer your questions on the legalese of what's going on, the potential outcome. And the first question I'm going to ask you, Brad, when we come back is, what does the appeal process look like and the timeline? So hold that thought, Brad. Don't go anywhere. Listening to the Annie Fry Show right now, you're listening to lawyer, legal expert Brad Young, our friend here on the Annie Fry Show, and we're going to ask him your questions, starting with mine on the appeal process here as soon as we come back. Don't go anywhere. The Annie Fry Show continues with coverage of the jury now gone to deliberations to discover whether the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, will be found guilty of felonies or potentially acquitted, maybe something in between. Stick around. Brad Young returns in just a minute.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I really love Window World and what they have done in St. Louis. For people like you, they understand your hard-earned dollar, and they also understand great quality products. And that's why they don't do the, song and dance, the tap dance, to try to get you to buy the windows, the super hyper pressure situation. Ick. Yuck. Nobody likes that. Window World knows that. They also know that you need windows. So what they do is they have a good low price for a quality window that comes with a lifetime warranty that offers, on top of glass breakage and parts, they offer the labor included in there. Check the warranties on the other places. A lot of times it doesn't include labor. That's going to come out of your pocket. They also understand that you need to be able to do all the windows in your home that need to be replacements. You can't be picking and choosing. Window World is offering 36 months, same as cash, financing with approved credit. They want to make this a possibility for you without all of the high pressure situation. And if you want to take other people's word for it over mine, check out their ratings with the BBB. Check out their approval, their reviews. They are widespread and they are very positive because people trust Window World with their window replacements. They are simply the best for less, and you just need to call them at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800, and ask them about window replacements for your home. 314-993-1800, windowworld.com.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now, 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
More good news for Frederick Roofing, voted best roofing company by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
314-645-2000.
What better way to support your nutrition than with the multivitamin that was created right here in St. Louis? Neovitin Original Multivitamin was created by St. Louis physician Dr. Ribicki to support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Now, Neovitin Original Multivitamin is formulated with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Ribicki's proprietary blend to give you nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Neovitin is now conveniently available through our no-obligation monthly subscription. Cancel or pause at any time, and shipping is free. Support your nutrition with a subscription to Neovitin at neovitin.com today.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
June 27th, Donald Trump debates Joe Biden, and you can only hear it here on 97.1 FM Talk. But you're also invited to the party. We'll all be at Dave & Buster's, so join us June 27th for the debate and visit 971talk.com/events. This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. We are visiting right now with Brad Young. He is an attorney, and we are grateful to have his legal expertise to break down what is going on in the Trump trial now that jury deliberations have begun. The judge has given the assignments or the instructions to the jury, and now we sit and us non-legal minds go, what? I don't understand what they're saying. I don't understand what this means. So we bring Brad Young in to discuss it with us. Brad, welcome back. It's always good to have you on the show.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So I want to ask you to reset just a little bit from the last conversation that we had in the last segment. People can go check that out if they didn't hear the whole thing. The instructions that were given from the judge to the jury, how would you characterize what the jury is supposed to go deliberate right now?
Well, what the jury is supposed to do, and in fact, this is what's going on right now in the jury room, is that they will be given instructions, and they've been given instructions by the judge, and they have to look at what has to be proven for each count, all 34 counts. And then the jury will most likely take an initial vote, initial vote of those members of the jury to say what's our initial impression here, guilty or innocent, or actually guilty or not guilty is the actual term. So they'll take that initial vote based upon the facts that they've heard for the last 4 weeks, the evidence that they've heard for the last 4 weeks, and then applying it to what the statute says must be proven in order to convict a person of that crime. Once that initial poll, as it were, is taken, and actually I spoke too soon, the first thing the jury has to do is to decide on who's going to be the jury foreman.
How does that work? How does that happen? I've never been on a jury. I went and they didn't call me, so...
Well, I've never been on a jury. Excuse me. I've never been on a jury either. Because most of the time when I go, I get kicked off because they find out I'm an attorney, and then boom, I get the boot, right? So, but I can tell you just from experience of having jurors tell me this, that they just take a vote who wants to be the foreman. Now, in this instance, there are some very unique qualities here. There are 2 members of the jury that are attorneys. That is very unusual. Most of the time, if someone's an attorney, they get kicked off, such as me. So the fact that there's not 1 but 2 attorneys on this jury means that most likely when that happens, jurors like to appoint an attorney to be the jury foreman. Doesn't always happen, but I've heard of it anecdotally many, many times. So once they pick one of those attorneys or anyone else to be the foreman, then they're going to take an informal vote. Where do we stand? And you're going to have hands raised. We've seen this portrayed in movies before, but it is against the law to have any recording device in the jury deliberation room. So we don't know what they're saying. We can't record what they're saying. We can only go based upon what people say after the trial is over. So having said that, assuming that you're going to have mixed decisions on guilt or innocence, then they just have to go through and deliberate on each individual count. So what does that mean? I'm going to make a point here so we can get on with more discussion, not just me lecturing.
You're doing
Here's
great.
the point.
I'm taking notes, Brad.
Here's really the bottom line. If we had a verdict, say this afternoon, I would say that that's going to be a guaranteed guilty verdict.
Wow. So they go in there and they take a poll and everyone's like guilty, and then that's it?
Yeah, if everyone says guilty, chances are they could come back with a verdict before the end of the day today.
Hopefully before 3.
There's only so the way that game is played is that there's no way that everyone's going to say innocent. It's New York. Okay. That's not going to happen. So if everyone says guilty, they could literally have a verdict today. So the longer it goes between the start of deliberations and the jury coming back with a decision, the longer it goes, that leads you to believe that either it's going to be not guilty, or it's going to be a hung jury. Not a guaranteed, but there's a ratio there. The longer it takes for them to decide, the more likely it is that there are some jury members who aren't on board with convicting on one or all counts. So that's the game that you're going to now see played out in the media, is the speculation about if it goes a week, if it goes 10 days, how long does it go before we start to make the assumption that there are holdouts who are not going to go towards guilty, and then you're looking at a mistrial, or the common term is hung jury.
What's the longest this thing can go?
Well, there's no statutory or case law rule about how long it could go. But here's what happens. The judge has something called a hammer instruction. A hammer instruction is exactly what it sounds like. That means the jury sends a note to the judge and says, you know what, we're having trouble here making a decision. We don't think we can make a decision. The judge brings them all back in, and the judge berates them to say, you need to go back in there, you need to discuss this more, and you need to reach a decision. He hammers them.
Okay.
Called a hammer instruction. Okay. That usually happens at least twice before the judge reaches a conclusion that says it's a mistrial, the jury can't come to a conclusion. Now, how long it takes to get to that point, it's up to each individual judge. So there's no rule, statute, or guidance. It's up to the judge to determine when enough is enough.
Yeah. I'm sure that as long as they're coming to his conclusion, he'll be fine with it. That's just me. I don't know.
Well, and then the other thing I need to throw in here for some levity, Annie, is this. It's always been my analysis, about 80 to 85% of the time, that jury members never render a verdict in the morning. Do you know why that is?
No.
It's because they want to stick around to get a free lunch. So if they render a decision at 10 o'clock in the morning, they don't get the free lunch on the state's nickel.
No.
So they'll stick around until 2,
good
get
is
the
this
free
lunch?
ham and cheese. Well, hey, even a free lunch is better than no lunch, right? So they'll stick around, get the ham and cheese at noon, and then render a decision at 2 o'clock. I'm just telling you, like 80% of the time, that's the way it works.
Gotta love that government ham and cheese. All right.
Yeah.
Vicky wants to know, will the 2 lawyers in the jury be more likely to think these instructions are, not right? You don't know them personally, I don't think, but that would be great if you did. What is your thoughts on those 2 lawyers on the jury?
Well, I think that the 2 lawyers, we don't know what kind of lawyers they are, although I did read initially, anecdotally, that they were not trial attorneys. They were transactional attorneys.
What's that mean?
I think, well, that means like one was doing banking law, where they're dealing with lenders and financing and compliance with rules and regulations. And I believe one of them was a real estate attorney. So they're not going to trial. They're not trying cases. They're not presenting evidence in front of judges. So they may not be well versed on how jury instructions work, because there's a chance that neither one of those attorneys has ever even been to court if all they're doing all day is handling real estate matters and financial transactions.
I could see how that would make them know just enough to be dangerous almost.
It could, but listen, law school is foundational. And I still, to this day, remember lots of things that I learned in law school. And criminal justice 101 is that proof beyond a reasonable doubt means proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And if you're basing your entire prosecution on the testimony of someone who's not only a confirmed liar, but someone who's actually gone to prison for lying, who's lost his bar license for lying, and has written a book called Revenge, for goodness sakes. All right. That anything that he says, I think by definition is reasonable doubt.
Quick, kind of follows up on what I said. I wanted to ask you about the appeals process and the timeline that is in front of us. Rick says, what happens next? It seems a predetermined outcome is evident. Where do we go from here?
Well, first, I'm not convinced it's a predetermined outcome. I can tell you there's no way that this is going to come back as not guilty. But I still think that there is probably in my head, there's a 30 to a 40% chance that we get a hung jury here. So I'm not saying it's definitive, but I'm just saying there's a significant chance of that happening. Now, having said that, where do we go from here? After the jury comes back, then there would be a whole series of post-trial motions regarding what's called JNOV, a judgment notwithstanding the verdict. In other words, the judge would be asked to render a verdict because the jury misinterpreted his instructions to the jury. There's no way that's ever going to happen here because we know where Judge Merchan stands. So that's not going to happen. But I mention that because it's not as if the moment the verdict comes down, the appeals start. The appeals can't be filed until all of these post-trial motions are adjudicated. And sometimes that can take, in of itself, that can take a week or longer. So that process has to run out before any eventual appeal could be filed.
So wait, I'm going to ask my producer, Brad. Did you have a question you wanted to ask?
I was going to ask,
yeah,
well, he was talking about the hammer rule. How many times could the judge send them back?
Well, there's no specific guidelines on that. So it's up to the judge to keep hammering them, given that hammer instruction, to go back and work it out, hammer out a deal. He could do that literally an unlimited amount of time. Now I've never heard of it going personally. I've never heard of that happening more than 2 or 3 times. But I can't envision a situation where the judge would be constrained on how many times he could do that.
We're speaking with Brad Young. He is a legal expert because he is an attorney, and he is an often fill-in for me here on the Annie Frey Show, other shows as well. On 97.1, we trust his expert opinion, and we're grateful he's giving us some of the time here. If you've got any questions, we've got just a couple minutes left. I'll try to throw out as many of them as I can. I just want to ask you, Brad, what you think the natural outcome here. You've told us if it comes back fast, guilty. If the longer it takes, the better it looks for Trump. Based on Manhattan, based on Judge Merchan, based on the way the trial has navigated, always in favor of the prosecution when the opportunity presented itself, always against the defense, where do you see this likely outcome for this particular part of the trial?
What you mean in terms of guilt or not guilty?
Yes.
Well, I think there's clearly, at least in my head, I think there's there's a preponderance of evidence here that it will be guilty. I mean, I put that odds in my head based upon following it every day. I think there's probably a 60 to a 70% chance of a guilty verdict. Now, it's going to take a while, and it doesn't necessarily mean on all 34 counts. It may just be on 1 count, 2 counts, and others. But I think that there will be some degree of guilt found by this jury just because of the factors you mentioned, Annie, the judge, the location, the political persuasion of where the jury pool is pulled from. All of that, I think, is going to equate to probably 60, 70% chance of some degree of a guilty verdict. And then I see about 30 to 35% chance of a mistrial, again, also called a hung jury, where someone is holding out and saying, listen, the prosecution, despite the judge, despite all the evidence that came in that shouldn't have come in, I still don't see a guilty verdict here. I think there's a 30, 35% chance of that.
We're speaking with Brad Young. He is an attorney, and we're grateful that he is giving us some of his afternoon time right now. I want to revisit the 444 thing. We only got a couple minutes left here. The 444, yeah, that's 12. The idea, what is getting me hung up is there's 34 felonies charged here, but they're all encompassed in the same crime. Can one juror agree on 12 different charges and that becomes unanimous? Does it have to be 4?
No, I think what the judge explained, and again, I didn't hear that, and I've been looking at the judge's instructions, and I haven't necessarily found that reference. Mm-hmm. But assuming that that's the case, I think the situation is that if you get enough members of the jury who agree on the guilt of certain activities that apply to overlapping felonies, then the judge can, as a matter of law, find that that he has been convicted unanimously, even though they're all on different charges. Does that make sense?
Yeah, more than it did before. It just feels very much so like the runway has been cleared for them to find a guilty verdict against Donald Trump. And it just doesn't seem like, if I were the person sitting in the defendant's chair right now, that I would feel like justice is blind here. I would feel very much so like the fix was in. Do you get that feeling?
Absolutely. Justice is not blind in this instance. Now, in some of the other things that legal issues that Trump is facing, I have different opinions. But on this, there's no question that this is 100% politically motivated.
Brad Young, thank you for being with us today. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show, and we're calling you probably, maybe,
my pleasure.
Maybe today again.
Anytime. I await your call.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. You've been listening to Brad Young on the Annie Fry Show. Great to have him here with us to break down all the legalese. The jury is out to deliberate, or in to deliberate, I suppose. Will they come up with a verdict? It could be today. It could be next week. We're watching it. We will report on it. And keep it right here on 97.1 for the latest. Let's talk to Deroy Murdock, who was there yesterday when we come back.
Guys, you know summer is just around the corner. Get yourself in shape now. Let my friends at Victory Men's Health help you. Mark Cox here. You know Victory is offering semaglutide, approved by the FDA for overweight adults. It's a game changer. On average, people are losing up to 15% of their body weight. Be sure and visit my friends at Victory Men's Health in Wing Haven, their newest location in Sunset Hills. They're also in Town and Country and in O'Fallon, Illinois. Go online today. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. VictoryMen'sHealth.com. Mark Cox here. My friends at Whiskey Dickerson are hard at work cranking out a brand new line of t-shirts, hoodies, and hats with hard-working, self-reliant patriots like you and mine. Whether you're the subtle and tasteful type or you'd rather push the First Amendment to the limits, Whiskey Dickerson has just the shirt for you. Right now, get 20% off by entering promo code 971 at checkout. Whiskey Dickerson is giving a voice to the silent majority. So if you like your coffee strong and your tea in the harbor, go to whiskeydickerson.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
It's up to them. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. A jury of 7 men and 5 women deliberating the charges against former President Trump. They got the case centering around hush money reimbursements about 2.5 hours ago after instructions from the judge.
What exactly does the prosecution have to prove here? They have to prove that the defendant, the former President Donald Trump, personally or in concert with others, made or caused false business entries in their records, did so with the intent to defraud and with the intent to aid or conceal the commission of another crime.
Fox Business's Lydia Hu at the New York courthouse, where the former president told reporters that based on the judge's instructions, Mother Teresa couldn't beat the charges.
The people of this country see that this is a rigged deal. It's a weaponized deal for the Democrats to hit their political opponent.
Also vowing to win the 2024 election. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito is rejecting calls to step aside from cases involving the former president and January 6th defendants because of the controversy over flags flown at his homes. In letters to members of Congress, Alito says his wife was responsible for flying an upside-down flag in 2021 and an Appeal to Heaven flag last year, writing that neither incident merits recusal. A fresh proposal for a temporary ceasefire in Gaza.
The Israelis are fully supportive of this fresh proposal.
National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby also says it's still not clear what caused the fire that killed Palestinian civilians after an Israeli airstrike in Rafah. Just getting word that criminal charges against top golfer Scottie Scheffler are dropped after a local prosecutor told a Kentucky judge the evidence corroborated Scheffler's account of a big misunderstanding when he was arrested near an accident scene on his way to the second round of the PGA Championship. He'd been charged with 4 counts, including assault on a police officer. America is listening to Fox News.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password.
For you to become a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, But everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
When life spells heartburn, how do you spell relief? ROLAIDS.
What about when life spells fried chicken?
ROLAIDS.
Fourth cup of coffee?
Still ROLAIDS.
Extra cheesy pizza?
Rolaids always spells relief. Rolaids' powerful dual-active formula begins neutralizing acid on contact to fight your heartburn fast. So, when life spells heartburn, Rolaids spells relief. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The northwest flow providing a gorgeous Wednesday afternoon. Sunshine in control, 77 for the high. Tonight, clear skies, 57 for the overnight low. Thursday, keep it going. Sunny skies, 78. Friday, partly sunny, 80 degrees. Maybe a spot shower Friday afternoon, but tough to find. Expect scattered showers and thunderstorms around, though, for the first weekend of June. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Spring is here. That means all the crap that goes along with spring. I love spring. Spring is wonderful, but it does have crap that goes along with it. It gets in your allergies, and it just makes you miserable when it's beautiful outside. Did you know Air Comfort Service can do something about that? Specifically, not the pollen that's out there, but the pollen that's in your house. They can do something about that. And why wouldn't you want that? If you suffer from allergies, get an indoor whole home air purifier that will help relieve and even eliminate allergy symptoms, the problems that come from pet dander and bacteria and viruses and odors and all of that. You call Air Comfort Service and you talk to them about how they can help you make sure that you don't have to deal with those problems anymore. Air Comfort Service is there to make sure that your air quality in your home is absolutely an important part of your comfort zone. 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. You reach out to Air Comfort Service, say, Annie sent us something about you fixing the crappy air in our house. If you tell them that, they'll know it came from me, I promise. And get rid of all of that nastiness in your home so you can stay comfortable in your comfort zone. AirComfortService.com.
Outdoor Living Redefined, brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design, your trusted partner in crafting stunning decks, inviting screened rooms, and elegant porch overhangs. Imagine enjoying a crisp morning coffee on your beautifully designed deck, or hosting gatherings in a spacious screened room. Lakeside turns your vision into reality. Our skilled craftsmen use top-notch materials to create spaces that stand up to the elements and stand out in style. Elevate your lifestyle with Lakeside's outdoor living expertise. Visit our showroom or call Lakeside Renovation and Design today.
Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? The IRS won't quit until they get your money. Here's great news, fresh from those in the know. Major changes have happened at the IRS. If you owe more than $10,000, you may be eligible for a 99% reduction of what you owe. Haven't filed a return for a while? Their happy clients are talking.
The IRS was going to levy my bank account, but Guardian was able to prevent that and fix all my IRS issues. Thanks again, Guardian Tax.
Need relief from crushing tax debt? The IRS now has special programs. Guardian Tax knows all about them. Personal or business, this is the fresh new brick you've been hoping for.
We aren't the company you call when you need a hug because you're scared of the IRS. Guardian Tax is the company that wins when you need it most.
Guardian Tax Service is really great to work with. They really help me out. I'd recommend them highly.
Call now for a free confidential consultation. 800-505-1608. 800-505-1608. 800-505-1608.
We're here to help you get registered to vote, whether you're in Missouri or Illinois. Democracy 2024 on 97.1 FM Talk. If you need help getting registered, go to 971talk.com/vote. The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is The Annie Fry Show.
Yeah, I think it's patently absurd. I think it's insane that we didn't have clarity on what the underlying crime was for this long. But again, without business records fraud, there is no case. And I think we have made the case. We have made the case quite persuasively that there was no business records fraud, that the business records in question were accurate, that there was certainly no fraudulent intent with respect to how they were made. And for those reasons alone, any fair jury, I believe, would speedily acquit.
Any fair jury, and of course we can get a fair jury in Manhattan. I think it's possible. A lot of people have their doubts, but our friend Will Scharf talking about these Trump charges yesterday, and we go to our next guest, who I understand may have met Will Scharf yesterday in court. Deroy Murdock joins us now, nationally syndicated columnist and Fox News contributor. Deroy, when you and Will Scharf are in the same room together, that makes me nervous. You guys can't be in the same place at the same time. I like to use both of you.
Well, it's a good nervous, not a bad nervous, right?
Oh, of course. I don't want you swapping stories.
I was fortunate enough to be in the courtroom yesterday. I guess as fortunate as you are to be in such an odd, unusual, and not necessarily positive circumstance. But the only one of the few bits of good news was that I walked in and sat down in the back room of the courtroom, and there was sitting next to me none other than Will Scharf, very sharp guy. We had a good conversation there, and I understand he's running for Attorney General in your state. So I wish him a lot of luck, and seems like somebody who do a great job serving the people of Missouri.
Yep, those are all good, true things. So you were sitting. Let's get to the details, the dirty details here of the opportunity to sit in that courtroom. Draw a picture for us. Tell us what it was like to witness what you saw.
Sure. Well, it was a pretty drab courtroom. Not quite as plain as maybe a high school classroom, but nothing too fancy. White walls, big bright overhead lights. Lots of cops. I think there are about 7 or 8 cops walking around. So if anybody tried to pull anything funny, the person would be on the ground cuffed in about 2 seconds, plus Secret Service agents. And President Trump was sitting up in front on the left, the prosecution on the right, looking from the back to the front. The jury on the right side, looking pretty focused, more casually dressed than I might expect, but you're not required to be in coat and tie there, although some people were kind of dressed up. And Judge Marchand, about whom we've heard plenty, was presiding. Very soothing voice, I thought, and he did rule quite a bit against the defense, but he did have some rulings in terms of objections and so forth on their behalf. So it wasn't 100% defense, 0%. 100% prosecution, 0% defense. I think it was probably 2/3 in favor of the prosecution, maybe 1/3 in favor of the defense. What was most interesting was the difference in the closing arguments. I did a piece of the American Spectator we posted this morning, and my headline is, "In sum, Trump's defense focuses on accounting, prosecution obsesses over adultery." And the defense case, basically, Todd Blanche, who's President Trump's attorney, opened by saying this is a documents case, and this whole case deals with the allegation of falsification of business records. And he said, look, this is basically a case about whether President Trump, as President of the United States, had a scheme to falsify business records. And it essentially deals with the whole issue of the ledger entries. What did the ledger entries say in connection with the checks that were used to pay back or pay Michael Cohen in relation to the Stormy Daniels payments, if you will? And I've heard something very interesting about her anywhere else. I heard it in the courtroom. I'd not heard it before. And that is that the accounting system they use software has a pull-down menu. And when you do the pull-down menu, you can classify the checks as payroll, utilities, supplies, whatever it is. And one of those pull-down menu options was the term legal expenses. And according to the attorney for President Trump, the term legal expenses was part of this pull-down menu, and that's what they used anytime they got a bill from a lawyer or a law firm or anything like that. So it wasn't like they came up with this phrase legal expenses to cover up the Stormy Daniels payment. This was the absolute standard. He said they used the same notation so all the legal expenses could be reviewed at the end of the year. So how are we having this supposedly nefarious, diabolical scheme when these checks to Michael Cohen were handled exactly the same way as any other check coming in from any other lawyer or any other law firm? And once you establish that, if you say, okay, these records are legit, they're not fake or doctored or whatever, I think at that point the entire case implodes, because this is a case about documents. So that's the story. Meanwhile, the prosecution went on and on and on about, who slept with whom and which person was involved in what sexual affair with the other. And it was just almost like, an oversexed, listening to some guy with an, oversexed libido. And at one point, he actually managed, in addition to talking about all these other, the Stormy Daniels case and a woman named Karen McDougal, he at one point made a reference to what he called the estrogen mafia, whatever that is. And then he referred to a woman named Karen McDougal, who was one of these people who was supposedly part of this effort to, purchase and bury stories. He said Karen McDougal cited her desire to appear on Dancing with the Stars. And this way, the prosecutor said, quote, she could revive her career and also not be the next Monica Lewinsky, unquote. So the prosecution managed to get the name Monica Lewinsky into their closing argument. So the prosecution basically seems to see this as a case about sex and efforts to bury those stories about sex, whereas the defense attorney, Todd Blanche, said, look, this is, according to the indictment, a documents case, and the evidence of President Trump and his team doctoring or falsifying business records does not exist. And on that basis, he should be acquitted on all 34 counts.
Deroy, just listening to those explanations, I can't help but think that it's very parallel to the political parties invested in this particular trial. Republicans often go out there and they're like, here are some facts, here are some numbers. And America's like boring. And then the left is supercharged. It's like a party over there. It seems wild and crazy, and people want to find out they want more of the interest that they have, or the voyeurism that they have, that the left brings to the table. I don't know if that's exactly the same as what you saw yesterday in the courtroom, but what matters is what these 12 jurors think. You've written pieces where you think that you have faith and confidence in the Manhattan jury, and I thought it was an important piece that you put out there, because that's not the assumption that everybody on the outside looking in has about Donald Trump's ability to fare a good trial, a fair trial in New York. What was your thought of those two arguments? One being, it sounds like, way more boring than the others. Doesn't mean anything about factual nature. What about the jury?
That's a very good question, yeah, and good perception. People on the right tend to think in terms of graphs and charts and statistics,
Super
and
boring.
on the left, it's
important,
wild and crazy.
Yeah.
Now, I think what sort of counteracts that impulse, or those two impulses, as you mentioned them, is that the defense closing argument was about 2 hours and 11 minutes, I think it was, and the prosecution's close started about 2 p.m. and ended about 8 p.m. with 3 breaks. But I had to leave to go to Fox News. I left about 4 o'clock, and my eyes were starting to glaze over. Even though he was talking about sex, he managed somehow to make it not very interesting. That's really quite a challenge, right? So I think if maybe 6 hours of boring talk about sex might have put the jurors
the left even
into
ruined
a trance.
that. That's amazing.
Yeah, they even wrecked that. Imagine that. Everything they touch goes to hell, including sex talk.
So what do you think the jury, were they attentive? Do you trust them to handle this situation with the utmost respect and care that it deserves?
Well, I only can talk about my experience on 3 Manhattan juries. And in my experience, the idea of, the runaway jury saying, hey, we're here just to hand out, big checks to plaintiffs and let prisoners go just because we feel like it. My sense on the juries in which I served, 2 were civil, 1 was criminal. They took this civic duty very seriously. They were very solemn about it. They were rather patriotic about it. And the sense was, look, we have to treat the justice system with respect, because someday we may want the justice system to respect us. We might be the ones who are sitting there at the defense table, at the state coming in trying to lock us up, and we want to have a jury of our peers, hear the evidence and rule fairly. And a couple instances, people said, hey, let's just give this person some money. And the response from the other jurors, no, we got to make sure the case is proved. And in fact, the case, I'm thinking in particular, is a very sympathetic plaintiff. One person said, we got to give her some money. And the rest of us said, no, her lawyer didn't prove the case, and we feel sorry for her, and we wish her all luck, and maybe we should buy her some flowers. But, he didn't prove the case, and so we sent her home with nothing. And she suffered a medical malpractice case. She was in a botched abortion. I think she was left sterilized. I mean, not a pretty picture at all. And that woman walked home with not a penny in her wallet, because her lawyer didn't put the pieces together. And the defense attorney defending the doctors did a very good job of explaining what they did right, and he was very organized and easy to follow. The other guy was like Columbo, was all over the map and just a total wreck. So I think if my experience with Manhattan juries Is it all representative? These people who may not like Trump, they may disagree with him, they may vote against him. I think they're not going to say, let's throw this guy in prison just because we don't like him. I think they'll maybe do that at the ballot box, but I think they will rule, as they should, on the basis of the evidence and the law and the instructions from the judge. Now, the instructions from the judge are another matter altogether, and that seems really very weird. You're supposed to find a defendant guilty, 12 people unanimously guilty with beyond a reasonable suspicion of all agreeing on the same crime. What Judge Mershon has done, I've never seen this before, is say, look, you have a choice of crimes. One is federal election crime, which, of course, the district attorney of Manhattan has no authority to enforce, in which the Department of Justice, U.S. Department of Justice, and the Federal Election Commission both decided not to pursue Trump over any of the Stormy Daniels stuff. Number one. Number two, the issue of commercial fraud of some kind, and third, I believe, is false business records. And you could have four people who believe option one, four say he's guilty of option two, and the next four believe it's option three, kind of picking and choosing. I've never heard of any jury that operates that way. Yeah. It's all supposed to be 12 people agreeing on one crime, not four on this one and four on the other and four on the third. So I don't know where that came from, and I really hope people ignore that. Apparently the instructions took an hour to hear, and they're written out at 50 pages long, and nobody has a copy of it. So they're operating with instructions basically from memory, and very complicated ones. So I don't know, maybe the judge might have been too cute by half and left the jury in a situation where they say, look, we can't figure it out. We have reasonable suspicions. We can't put it all together, so we're just going to vote to acquit. I really hope that's what happens.
You've said that you see the possibility of an acquittal. You've written about that. We heard Jonathan Turley say today that he expects a hung jury, and Andy McCarthy has said that he expects a conviction. Where does your heart lie on this issue? I've got a lot of people who I trust giving me the opportunities that it could go any one of those ways.
I think it could go any one of those ways. I really think the way that the chief sort of star witness, Michael Cohen, was just demolished. The defense attorney, Todd Blanche, came up with a name for him. He called him Gloat, which is the greatest liar of all time. And spent, isn't that great? Spent a long time just dismantling this guy and saying, look, he lied to the government, he lied to his family, he lied to his bank, he lied to Congress, the Senate, and the House. And he said, but worst of all, he walked in here, he raised his hand to take an oath, and then he lied to each one of you, pointing to the jury. He lied to the jury in this case. And I think if people discount Michael Cohen's testimony, the whole case sort of just collapses. So if that's the case, my sense is I think it's unlikely that Trump will be convicted. I think out of the 12 people, there probably will be one, two, or three who think, look, I know you guys hate Trump, but this isn't right. And it is possible to say, look, we're not crazy about this guy, but we're not here to throw him in jail. We'll do what we have to do at the polls in November, but that's a different time and a different place and a different setting. And this isn't. So my guess is either acquittal or hung jury. I'd frankly be surprised if he's convicted.
Yeah. Well, we'll hold our breath and wait and see. Could come any time now. Could be next week. Who knows? But we look forward to talking to you next week. Maybe we'll have a verdict to discuss come next Wednesday.
That would be nice.
Yes,
hopefully it won't drag on forever.
Yes. Thank you for being with us, and thanks for saying hi to our friend Will Scharf. We appreciate that.
You bet. Okay, thanks a lot. Take care.
Bye-bye. Deroy Murdock, nationally syndicated columnist and a Fox News contributor, was at the trial yesterday and just so happened to be sitting next to Will Scharf in the courtroom. That's pretty cool. We're going to take a quick break. Our friend Joe Concha is going to be with the Annie Frey Show. When we return, he's a Fox News contributor and an author. His next book coming out is called Progressively Worse, Why Today's Democrats Ain't Your Daddy's Donkeys. I think that's pretty relatable on a whole lot of fronts. What does he think about the trial? What does he think about Robert De Niro? I feel like I could just say, bring him on the show, Robert De Niro, turn Joe Concha loose. He does the whole segment from there. Maybe, I don't know. What do you think about Robert De Niro? Leave us your comments on the Annie Frey YouTube channel. Let's talk to Joe Concha when we come back.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
Like
All right, get rid of your pests. That's a pretty simple sell because if you've got them in your house, you know you want them gone. Point Pest Control comes and saves the day. They saved the day in my house. Had a spider problem, came and took care of the spiders, and I said, get rid of all of the things that are creepy crawly in my house. Not my kids, I'll keep them. And make sure that they don't come back. And they did. Point Pest Control, point with an E, pointpestcontrol.com. You reach out to them and you say, maybe you haven't seen a lot of bugs, but you just want to make sure it stays that way. I do the quarterly service plan. I just got a text message giving me the heads up that that's going to be done here soon, and I appreciate that. They just do the outside if I want. They'll come do the inside on that quarterly service plan as well. And I don't have bugs in my house. I have none. It's fantastic. They also treat termites. So if you've got termites in your home, you hopefully have addressed that already. If you see termites this spring come into your home, you need to reach out to Point Pest Control, the very best at taking care of that problem for you. You mentioned the Annie Fry Show when you call. Mention Annie. Don't forget to do that because you're going to save an additional 10% on the top of anything else that they have running right now as a special. Mention Annie when you call 636-798-0023. 636-798-0023. Point with an E, pointpestcontrol.com.
This summer is about to get hot, and you'll look the part in the Cardinals all-over print shirt. Head to the ballpark on Friday, June 7th to see the Cardinals host the Rockies. That night, 25,000 fans, ages 16 and older, will take home their own stadium-exclusive Cardinals all-over print shirt, courtesy of Coca-Cola and Walmart. Great seats remain. Secure yours today at cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Miles Michaelis. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Hey kids, you will not want to miss the Cardinals one-of-a-kind jersey giveaway coming up on Sunday, June 9th. That day, the Cardinals host the Rockies, and 10,000 kids ages 15 and younger entering with a ticket will take home their very own neon Cardinals jersey, thanks to High Chew. That's not all. Following the game, kids 15 and younger can participate in the High Chew Kids Run the Bases. For tickets or more details, visit cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Sonny Gray, St. Louis Cardinals, for the Loop.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-254-4570. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-254-4574 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-254-4574 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-254-4574.
Before you sell your home, consider your options. Mark Cox here, and for years now I've been telling you about St. Louis real estate expert Gloria Liu, owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria is an expert in selling homes for the most money because she has the guarantees, the buyers, and different solutions for every type of seller. She recently provided a family multiple cash offers in minutes so they could move quickly with no showings, no costly repairs, and no hassles. Now, not everyone's looking for multiple cash offers. That's why Gloria will sell your home at your agreed upon price, or she'll buy it. Her name says it all, Your Home Sold Guaranteed. Regardless of whether you're looking for multiple cash offers or you want to utilize her Guaranteed Sold program to ensure you get the most money possible. Here's your next step. Call Gloria at 314-325-6888 or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Today's YouTube live chat poll, will Joe Biden be the Democrat nominee on the ballot in November? Yes or no? We want to know your answer, so what we want you to do is jump on Annie's YouTube page and answer the question in the poll. The time is 1:26. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Wednesday afternoon, it's the 4-year anniversary of George Floyd. And if you want to know the truth about what happened, check out Liz Collin, who made this amazing movie, The Fall of Minneapolis.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
What you know, Joe? I don't know nothing. What you know, Joe? Tell me something. What you know, Joe? Ain't conniving, just ain't jiving. I don't know.
And that's why I've joined the Biden-Harris campaign, because the only way to preserve our freedoms and hold on to our humanity is to vote for Joe Biden for president. Really. We don't have a choice.
Oh, what you know, Joe?
Joe Concha, Fox News contributor.
Oh, man. The siren going off in the background, the 5-alarm fire that they have with Robert De Niro out there going, really, we don't have a choice. Joe Concha, this was chef's kiss for watching the Biden campaign do what they do best, which is fail, fail, fail.
This was the most cringeworthy news conference I can remember in some time, and it shows so much as far as what the Biden endgame here is, right? First, you have the number 3 in his DOJ, as far as the Biden Department of Justice, going to work for Alvin Bragg, because, that's certainly jumping up in the career ladder, right? You go from number 3 at DOJ, you're this close to Attorney General, and you're like, I'm going to go work for Alvin Bragg now in this limp case. And then for De Niro to go out there and just start yelling the things that he did, that the government will end as we know, all this hyperbolic stuff that made him sound and look crazy, because I think he may be crazy, or at least be suffering from TDS at this point. Remember, if you suffer from TDS for more than 8 years, go see your psychiatrist. So, I mean, this was such a bad idea. And whoever's running the Biden campaign, this shows you how desperate they are based on the numbers that we've talked about over and over again, as far as Trump's not only leading in every swing state, where we're talking about North Carolina and Georgia and Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. He's now tied in Virginia. He's now tied in Minnesota. He's within a couple points in my state of New Jersey. These are unthinkable numbers. So unless Biden is suddenly going to change the direction of inflation around, and suddenly the border is going to become secure, and suddenly Gaza is going to be at peace, and Ukraine and Russia are going to come to some sort of negotiation and truce, and unless crime in major cities solves itself, and unless Joe Biden can somehow reverse age himself the way De Niro did in The Irishman, where, oh, wait, Joe's back to being 2012 Biden, I don't see how this changes as far. I don't care if there's a conviction. I'm probably going to talk about this next in this Trump trial, because I don't see one vote changing. I see it like impeachment almost, where impeachment used to be a big deal. You impeach somebody, and that's a bad thing. And then Bill Clinton gets impeached, and he has the highest approval rating of any president who's ever left office after 2 terms. Then I see Trump get impeached in 2019, and his numbers go through the roof. I don't see people looking at this trial, because no one can understand what the crime is, and say, Trump did this, and now I can't vote for him, because we don't know what this is, even if a conviction comes back.
Yeah. It's Joe Concha with us right now, Fox News contributor and author of his book, Progressively Worse, Why Today's Democrats Ain't Your Daddy's Donkeys, which you can get in July. Of course, you just listed out a whole lot of reasons why Joe Biden is in absolute shambles as his campaign is just crashing and burning going into November of 2024. We ask this regularly. You and I have had this conversation multiple times. I don't believe Joe Biden's going to be the guy on the ticket in November. I never have. And I don't know how they feel like they can get him across the finish line here now. So when I see Robert De Niro out there being the other old cranky guy saying, get off my lawn, it makes me think, like, maybe they don't want him to succeed. Maybe they need Joe Biden to completely remove himself from the race, look hapless, so they can put someone else in there. Thoughts?
I used to be not in your camp. I always thought Biden's the only option, because I didn't know who Plan B was, right? To use some football analogies, Kurt Warner at least was there for the Cardinals, right? And I know he wasn't the Plan B. He was actually Plan C. He barely made the team. He was the third stringer. But at least there was somebody strong in the bench, right? Or Steve Young to Joe Montana. I could go through a list of football analogies that no one cares about. Now, with Joe Biden, I didn't see who the possible Plan B was, because I didn't buy Newsom, because I don't think he plays well nationally. And plus, California's a mess, and you can't run any record there. So I hear Gretchen Whitmer, but she's Gretchen Whitmer, and I don't think she's very electric. I don't know. She's like Sigourney Weaver, but not Ghostbusters Sigourney Weaver. The resemblance is there, you got to admit. Yeah. Or Gina Davis more. I don't know. I go back and forth on that. And then finally, there's Michelle Obama. And I just look at her life, and she's on Martha's Vineyard, and she's getting all these awards for Netflix. And I'm thinking, she's never been a politician. I guess she's been a first lady, but she hasn't worked in any serious fashion in more than 30 years. She doesn't want this job. But then, I spoke to some pretty smart people that worked within the Trump administration and even one very prominent Democrat. And he says, oh, yeah, she can be inserted in there quite easily and perhaps be the only person now that could beat Trump. And I said, what? But I listed all the reasons that I thought that she could have won. She's just like, she's still very popular and people want unity, and they may just buy the fact that she doesn't know anything about foreign policy or how to lower inflation or how to fix the border, and they won't care because elections are won on vanity, and they pointed to Reagan, Clinton, and Trump as those selling points. I'm like, you're making good points.
Yeah.
That was the Democrat that made those points. You're really making good points. I still think Trump wins even in that scenario. However.
What do they do with Kamala? How does that get fixed? Because you can't say, I need a woman of color on my ticket, and then they find one. It's not Michelle Obama, it's Kamala Harris. Joe Biden somehow or another gracefully steps out of the way in some way, shape, or form, and Kamala is just passed over for Michelle Obama?
No, I think they somehow guarantee her, even if it isn't a guarantee. Sotomayor, we're going to convince her to retire, and then we're going to insert you in as a Supreme
hate all the
Court
points
justice.
you're making. I hate them.
I know.
They make
or
me
she
sick.
runs for California governor, which I don't think she'd even win that because you remember she dropped out of the 2020 primary in 2019 after she was polling 7th in her own state of California behind Andrew Yang or somebody obscure. So, but Supreme Court's not something she has to run on. She doesn't have to do any interviews for in terms of TV. Perfect for her. So they say, yep, don't worry, we got Sotomayor in the bag. She said she's going to step aside once Michelle's elected, and then we're going to put you on the Supreme Court. Wouldn't that be better than your current job now? Yes.
I feel sick.
I know, sorry.
Vomit. Joe Concha with us still. Thank you
Still?
for all
You
of
haven't
these.
hung up yet.
Yes, no, not yet. No, not at all. I do want to talk about the trial. I want to talk about what's going on in that Alvin Bragg craziness that's taking place in New York and tie it in with politics a little bit because I actually feel like what this what this trial has done for Donald Trump's election, I think it's actually turning some people who may have reluctantly voted for him against Joe Biden. I think there are some people who want to vote for Donald Trump now that maybe didn't before. The question is, would it be enough to beat Michelle Obama? Certainly looks like it's enough to beat Biden.
Oh, yeah. And I think it's enough to beat Michelle Obama, too. All the points I made before, I guess they're good points. But in the end, we got serious problems. And I'm not sure people just want somebody who sounds good and looks good. They want somebody who's going to fight and somebody who could actually solve these things. And the Trump presidency showed that. But, if we're talking about Biden in terms of his chances, oh, my God. There was a poll that came out yesterday. It just blew my mind as far as how bad he is doing at this point. And what it does, and I only look at state polls, because state polls are really the only ones that matter. And here you have Joe Biden. Here's his approval ratings in the following 5 states. In Arizona and Georgia, he's at 31% approval. In the state of Pennsylvania, he's at 32% approval. In the state of Michigan, he's at 33% approval. No, I'm sorry, Nevada's 33% and Michigan's 34%. How the hell do you win when you're only getting 1/3 of voters behind you? Now, you can say, well, some people will still vote for Biden that may not approve of his job because they're so anti-Trump. That ain't enough to win the presidency in those states that matter. So Biden's done, I think, and now we see what happens next as far as the debate is concerned, if the debate goes off. Because if Trump is convicted, does he do the debate by Zoom in jail? How does this work? I can't believe I'm even talking about this stuff.
Yeah, it seems, I was just saying this yesterday on the air, that the possibility exists. I was reading a CBS News report about a conversation that took place with, I guess, the
Secret
jail.
Service.
Yes. How do you do this? How do you make this happen? And then there was the suggestion that maybe there'd be probation and house arrest. And I thought, wow, if you get that kind of a verdict and he can't go to the debate, maybe that's how Joe Biden gets out of the debate, by not having Donald Trump be there, because why? He's a convicted felon. I still feel like, to the American people, I think the American people are smarter than these Democrat far leftists think that they're going to just make us hate Trump enough. As long as we hate him enough, they can win. I think they've really lost their edge on that.
99.9% of the American people don't watch MSNBC and they don't watch CNN.
Right.
So if I could see Merchan, because Merchan now at this point has shown that he will do anything to get this guy either behind bars or at least not campaigning. So to save face, Merchan probably say, logistically, it's impossible to send a former president to jail because of, the Secret Service going to be in there. Is it going to be local police? How do you protect him? Again, why he would have to go to Rikers for even whatever this crime is, which I still can't define. I have zero idea, because Rikers is a tough place, believe me. So if it's home confinement means Mar-a-Lago, and I guess he's stuck in Florida. And he can't go anywhere, including the debate, which is in Atlanta, one state over. So, yeah, that gets Biden out of the debate. And then I guess Trump just campaigns from Florida. But I don't know.
He should create the set of Joe Biden's basement in 2020. He should sit on that set and be like, I work for Biden in 2020. Here I am in my Joe Biden basement. See if he can get me elected in 2024.
I was about to say that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dang it.
And you could put him on. No, it's a great thought. You put him on widescreens in places like Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or Ann Arbor, Michigan.
I'm coming to you.
He's coming to you, exactly. And I swear, just the way it would look, I think this thing backfires spectacularly if there's a conviction. Now, if it's a hung jury, then of course it backfires as well, because that's as good as an acquittal, basically, because then the trial gets pushed out. What bothers me, Annie, is that let's say there is a hung jury. I was talking to some very smart legal people yesterday, including Greg Jarrett of Fox, and I asked him, I go, so how long will if Alvin Bragg wants to do this again, does this go past the election? He goes, no, 4 to 6 weeks. We could do the same thing over and over again. Same witnesses, same judge, different jury. And they could keep Donald Trump in New York.
For a hung jury?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Are you serious?
Crazy?
I have not heard that.
Yeah, I asked Greg, and that's what he told me, so he would know.
Yeah.
And then, so I said, well, why though? Because everybody says this thing will be won on appeal because it's just so completely ridiculous, particularly as far as the judge and the jury instructions. Oh, no, that can't happen until after Election Day. Well, why? If I could do another hung jury trial in 4 to 6 weeks, why can't I do an appeal? I mean, given the stakes. But this is the legal system that I clearly don't understand, and I'm not a lawyer. I'm like Star Lawyer. I'm like the opposite of Star Jones. I'm a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. No one remembers that, but I do.
Man. Joe Concha with us right now. I wanted to ask you, politically speaking, about these people who are watching what's happening to Trump. I think that the trial has waken some people up to, we talk about fence sitters. I don't think anybody is sitting on the Joe Biden on one side, Donald Trump on the other side fence. But I do think that there are fence sitters on people who are in the game and not in the game. And for the people who have not been in the game, and this story, the trial kind of cuts through, I think, a little bit into pop culture. It's a big deal. There might be some fence sitters who are not really wanting to mess with politics in an election year, who might be more enticed to open their eyes to what's going on with Donald Trump in court. And this kind of comes back to what I assume is probably a bit in your book. When people question themselves about, hey, I'm a Democrat, Dad was a Democrat, Grandpa was a Democrat, Union Democrats or whatever, when if they are opening their eyes to what's going on politically today, and they haven't been aware of it because they've avoided it or ignored it, what do you think that they're going to see if they've always identified as a Democrat that came out of the womb that way, and what they see right now with the political party that they seem to espouse?
I think this used to be the party of the working man and woman, right? And try to provide a safety net for people that maybe needed a little bit more from the government. And on some level, I could agree with that within limits, depending on what we're talking about, as long as the money isn't being wasted. Bill Clinton, I think, was a very successful president, for example, up until Monica. Everybody just goes right to Monica. I go to the years before that, and we had a balanced budget amendment. We had surpluses. He declared the era of big government is over. He ended the welfare state. We were at peace. We had prosperity, and he worked with the other side. I don't care what letters next to your name. I'll vote for somebody like that, if they seem reasonable. And Bill Clinton was, I don't know what he was at the core, and we kind of see it now, like he says all the things that he wants people to hear as far as helping her his wife out. But he was politically pragmatic, right? And he knew what would get him elected, and sure enough, he won quite easily in 1996. So I don't think many Democrats, like as you describe, particularly like auto workers, for example, a lot of auto workers are Democrats, particularly in places like Michigan. And then they see this administration shoving electric vehicles down our throats, something nobody wants and nobody knows how exactly you're going to charge. In other words, if I live in Detroit and I have an electric vehicle and I live in an apartment, how am I charging that exactly? Is the landlord providing me a charger? Can I put one on the street? Is it in the garage? Who pays for that? Or if I break down on I-5 going from San Diego to Los Angeles, is the tow truck with the charger coming to save me? Yeah. And then if it does, how long does it take to get me back in the road? Because these things take hours before they're charged. So no one's living in reality. And I think auto workers, just as like your micro example, see their jobs going away because electric vehicles don't require as many auto workers to make their vehicles. They say, wait, this is not the type of Democratic government that I like. So, yeah, I think overall, regardless of your Democratic nominee, the direction of the party overall, it's like what Bill Maher says, the party left me, I didn't leave it.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point. I would encourage people to pre-order your Progressively Worse book that is coming out. And I do think that one of the key voting blocks is going to be low propensity voters who we've gotten their attention this time because everything is so much more dramatic in a non-political sense. Unfortunately, we're not talking about border policy and foreign policy and healthcare and all of that stuff. We're talking about lawfare. But that's the battlefield that the Democrats wanted to fight on, and I think they just might lose on it. But we'll have to wait and see.
Indeed.
Joe, Thank you for being with us. We are going to have you back soon and hear what you think about more people like Robert De Niro when they find themselves, ironically, in the streets of New York City.
Absolutely. Sorry about your Cardinals this year. I don't know what's going on. They're always good.
Hey.
I guess you got to rebuild something.
Hey, what are we, 11 in the last 14 games?
Oh, all right. You're coming on then.
Yeah.
Good. Long season. I take it all back.
Next time we talk, it might be a very different situation.
Okay.
We
Go
will wait and
Battlehawks.
see. Yeah, go
Hawks.
caw. Exactly.
Caw.
Thanks, Joe. We
Bye.
love talking to you. Bye-bye. Interesting conversation, as always, with Joe Concha. And he's right about the Cardinals thing up until just the last few minutes. We're excited that they are getting their act back together. I'm sure they are as well. Let's take a quick break. Ethan is ready to take on Wiggins America. Yesterday's Wiggins America was about failure. I have no idea what today's is about, but Ethan will come in and join us. You can chat with us as well on the Annie Fry YouTube Live. Our question for today, it's a recurring question. The last time we did this, I think 56% of you said no. The question is, will Joe Biden be the Democratic candidate, on the ballot in November? Is he the guy? Yes or no? Annie Fry YouTube channel. Go vote. Leave a comment. We'll be right back.
To the Annie Fry Show. This is the Annie Fry Show.
Cassens and Sons, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. The Frys have purchased. Our two cars right now are from Cassens. We've bought other cars from them in the past. They're fantastic. You're reliable. We go to them specifically because of the longevity of the relationship that you have when you buy a vehicle from Cassens. You can trust the ability to take that car back if you need an oil change, if you need a tire rotation, if something comes up. They have done that for us, and I trust them. That is so important because when it comes to maintaining a car, when it comes to purchasing a car to begin with that you know is going to be a strong and reliable car for you, for your family, you go to Cassens, you're going to get that reliable treatment, customer service, and maintenance throughout the course of the relationship that you continue to carry once you've purchased one. Right now, they have a 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo 4x4. No money down. A $438 monthly lease. You get it for 36 months, 10,000 miles a year, tax, title, and license not included. You're going to get a great vehicle. You're going to get a great price on that vehicle, and you're going to get it with great people. I trust them with my purchases that I've had before, with the maintenance of my cars. It's very important to have a relationship with good people, and I promise you, the longevity that exists at Cassens & Sons, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, it's intentional. People go back generationally and buy their vehicles from Cassens because you can trust them. It's worth the drive, too. If you're coming from Missouri and you want to make sure you get a great vehicle at a great price, make the drive on 270. It's just like a mile off of 270 north. And on 159, you'll be glad you did. 618-800-2712, 618-800-2712, CassensSons.com.
If you're thinking of selling your home, I'm sure there are two things you want: certainty and the most money, right? Hi, it's Mark Cox, and if you've been listening to me for some time, you know the only agent I trust is Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, St. Louis real estate expert. Here's why she should be your first and only call when looking for an agent. Gloria doesn't make empty promises. No, she provides written guarantees. Now, what does this mean for you? Certainty. Now, certainty isn't the only thing you want. You also want the most money. Gloria is able to get her home sellers more money than the average agent because she already has the buyers. This is why Gloria will guarantee to sell your home at your agreed upon price, or she'll buy it. To get your guaranteed price, call St. Louis real estate expert Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Honesty, integrity, humility, purpose. We're looking for people that share these values. As an officer in the Springfield, Missouri Police Department, you'll train in a state-of-the-art facility, learn special skills, and most importantly, learn that being humble through it all builds a better community. Our next training academy starts soon. Work hard and dedicate yourself to the craft, and I promise you'll have some amazing opportunities. Visit gospd.com for more information. That's gospd.com. Brought to you by the Springfield, Missouri Police Department.
Customers. That tells you all you need to know about Window World. One thing that separates this company from the pack is that commitment to customer service and their excellent track record with both the Better Business Bureau and other reporting agencies. I am a satisfied customer. I love their lifetime warranty, and in just over 20 years of business, they've helped over 72,000 customers in St. Louis improve the look and the thermal efficiency of their homes. Right now, Window World is offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. That is a great deal. Call them right now. Get a free home estimate, 314-993-1800. They'll show you why they are simply the best for less. That's 314-993-1800, 993-1800, or go online to windowworld.com.
More good news for Frederick Roofing, voted best roofing company by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
314-645-2000.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. 9 out of 10 homes are under-insulated. Is yours? Did you know that there's an R value associated with insulation? To find out your R value or for free insulation estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
June 27th, Donald Trump debates Joe Biden, and you can only hear it here on 97.1 FM Talk. But you're also invited to the party. We'll all be at Dave & Buster's, so join us June 27th for the debate and visit 971talk.com/events. This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFryShow.
Wiggins! Oh, Wiggins! All right, welcome back. We are watching right now as the jury has spent 3 hours and 20 minutes in jury deliberation. And the second any news breaks, 97.1 is going to have it for you right here. So keep it on St. Louis's home for conservative talk, 97.1, for that breaking news and all of the Fox News coverage as well that you expect from the Fox News radio affiliate here in St. Louis. Meantime, we're going to hand it over to Ethan, who is standing in for Ryan Wiggins and Wiggins America. Hi,
Wiggins
Ethan.
America today is Ethan's America.
Okay, set the Wiggins aside. This is Ethan's America.
Yeah. Yesterday, you said it earlier, we failed onward and upward.
Which was your charge?
Those were the words that I was given by the one and only Ryan Wiggins yesterday before the show when I was trying to figure out what the heck to do for Wiggins America. That's pretty much all he told me was to fail onward and upward.
There you go.
Today, we are going to be discussing the most dangerous toys from the 1990s. And I'm not going to lie, there are some doozies on here.
What year were you born, Ethan?
I was born in 2000.
So you missed these, but you probably played with some of them.
Yes, correct. There were some of these. The reason that I found it okay to still go with this list and lead the charge on this list is because a lot of these were still around and I remember them quite fondly. So,
and we all survived these toys.
Yes, we did. But did all the people out there?
What do you got?
So we're going to go ahead and start with Sky Dancers. I don't know if you guys remember these toys, and I have pictures in here for you guys to see, so if you're able to relate to them. But
so the thing where you pull the cord and they fly, right?
It was you pulled the cord from it, and it spun very quickly in circles. Sky Dancers.
You could launch them at people.
Yes, exactly. Depending on the child, could be used as a weapon. They're labeled as one of the most exciting toys for kids in the 90s. However, according to a 2000 recall notice, the hard plastic Sky Dancer dolls can fly rapidly in unpredictable directions and can hit and injure both children and adults. Sky Dancers, the company that produced Sky Dancers, reported more than 150 injuries suffered by consumers that ranged from scratched corneas and incidents of temporary blindness, broken teeth, mild concussions, broken ribs, facial lacerations that required stitches. How about that?
I'm interested in how you get broken
150
ribs.
of them? 150?
Yes.
How many do they sell?
I don't know.
Tons
but
and tons
still,
and tons?
That's like, Annie, what you're arguing right now is like saying if there's like just a handful of issues with cars that there shouldn't be a recall for every single one.
No, cars
out
are
there.
different. They're not toys.
Well,
play stupid games. Win stupid prizes.
I'm just saying, you can't trust kids.
This is why everyone's so soft.
Yeah,
What's a
I agree.
laceration here and there?
So this is the one that I probably remember the most on this list. You own a slip and slide.
Oh, yes.
My goodness,
Slip
I can't
and
get
slide.
my words out. Slip and slide. There we
I don't own one. I've definitely used them, and there's nothing like diving onto a slip and slide with the hope of the greatest fun you'll ever have to go over a rock.
When was the last time that you
Oh my gosh.
actually took a dive on a slip and slide?
I was probably in my teens.
Brad?
I think I was, I'm a youth pastor, so I was in my mid-30s.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
it was a terrible idea.
So another recall here from Slip and Slide. Only meant for children. Used by adults. It's funny. You think you would know this, right? And that's the reason that I asked, because it says used by adults and teens has the potential to result in neck injury and paralysis.
Yeah, but that's on the grown person to figure that out.
Well, I agree. I'm just saying these toys, Annie, have the potential to be dangerous.
Yeah, so does everything.
Because of their weight and height, adults and teenagers who dive onto the water slide may hit and abruptly stop in such a way that could cause permanent spinal cord injury, resulting in paraplegia or quadriplegia.
Or I would think that those are good. Or like the centrifugal motion of a large person, you may not stop.
Whoa, too far. You can't say that in 2024.
I did. And I also said, if you want to slip and slide as a grown person, do it. You know what the risks are. Take ibuprofen first.
This is talking about a spinal injury from scorpioning, where your feet go up.
I was like, what is scorpioning?
Yeah, when your feet go up.
You go flying.
I thought about it.
Do you guys remember Cabbage Patch Kids?
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the Cabbage Patch Kid that was the snack time one that you could feed?
No.
You don't? That was a thing at one point.
I probably had a Cabbage Patch Kid. It was never important to me, but it was definitely important to a lot of people.
Snack time Cabbage Patch Kids or a special type of Cabbage Patch Kid, had a motorized mouth, and children were supposed to feed it plastic fruits and vegetables as it went through an eating motion with its mechanicalized, my goodness, jaws, in what was a very foreseeable turn of events. Reports started rolling in that little children, the exact demographic for the dolls, were instead getting their hair and little fingers stuck inside the Cabbage Patch Kids' hungry jaws.
Didn't think that one through.
So, I remember, the issue when I first got this list that I thought that I was going to see is that kids were feeding it real food. Have you ever seen, because I've seen these before, but I've seen kids feed them real food, and when they don't get cleared out, the amount of disgusting things that get inside of those Cabbage Patch Kids.
I was thinking that it would be like a choking hazard. They'd be feeding themselves.
Yeah,
the little things.
They'd be, thinking they are the Cabbage Patch Kid, and they're the ones consuming the plastic toys. That's, that probably I imagine has happened a time or two. How about slap bracelets?
Oh gosh, yes, yes.
Now these ones I think are the first one you could actually argue. Are the first one that you could argue could be used as weapons. Kids got aggressive with these back in the day. 4th grade.
Yeah, you're my friend. Here's a bracelet. Slap.
Well, we had the rulers, and they were slap rulers. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, teacher wasn't looking. Walk.
Yeah. No, I specifically remember them from about 1989, 1990.
Okay.
90. Maybe it was. I think I was in 1st grade, so it'd be 90, 91. And you'd have them all up your arms, and then they got banned from school.
How about rollerblade Barbies?
Oh, is this the one with the sparks?
Yes. So what do you know about these, Brad?
So I know that my sister had one, and that if you rolled it, the sparks shot out of the rollerblades.
I kind of remember that.
And that was a fire hazard.
Uh-huh.
And I have a specific memory of watching this on like the Today Show or something like that, where they were talking about the danger of these. And they sprayed just like if you put hairspray on your underwear and then you run this across it, and they ran it across and everything lit up. And I remember looking at my mom and saying, who puts hairspray on their underwear? But this was a thing, and I don't understand why, but I just know that there was a fire hazard involved.
The most amazing part about this is that that's what they advertised. The goal of this was to show the kids, ooh, look what this can do.
Yes.
You are literally giving children fire.
The sparks were the feature.
Exactly. I mean, like, featured on the box and everything. So, man, that's an amazing one.
I kind of remember that. I think you've just pulled something out of the deep, deep archives of my childhood. Did I have that? Maybe. I don't know.
Going into a super deep dive.
Yeah.
Next one. Lift and
are we
lock
done?
swings.
Yeah, we're
Oh,
done.
we got to
Never
go?
mind. Yeah.
Never mind. That's Wiggins America
we
today.
were waiting. Thank you very much for that. That was a good one. That was not failure. Not at all.
Onward and upward failure.
Wedding advice?
Next.
Next.
Summer's just right around the corner, so it's still not too late at all to be proactive on your air conditioning system. One, to make sure it's ready to go. And two, if you were thinking about replacing your system last year or the year before, still good time, good pricing, 0% on the equipment without the price increase yet that's coming here, taking an effect. So if you're like to be proactive, call me. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. That number is 314-293-2600. Again, very easy, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Or the website, bartinman.com. Now that is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan is there to make sure that you are taken care of with your mortgage. When you are looking to purchase a home, you need to set yourself up for the most success possible. And Stewie will tell you right now is the time to buy. If rates end up going down, of course, you're going to want a lower rate so that you can have a lower payment every month. But when rates come down, inventory is going to go up on the market and those prices are going to go up on the market. So get the house you want now and then refinance to grab that lower rate with the Bagel Loan. When you buy a house with the Bagel Loan or refinance with the Bagel Loan, you pay zero in closing costs to do it. So this is a very sensible way to prepare your financial future, to prioritize yourself and that low payment. It starts with the Bagel Loan, which is only at Stewart's American Mortgage. 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. I'm a 2-time Bagel Loan user myself. Google the Bagel Loan, NMLS number 226715.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
From grown-worthy dad jokes to patching up skinned knees, your one-of-a-kind dad deserves a gift guaranteed to take him to his happy place. Show him the love with a gift as unforgettable as he is. Omaha Steaks. Order the deluxe Father's Day gift package at omahasteaks.com. 20 unforgettable entrees plus 4 free burgers for just $89.99 when you use promo code SIZZLE at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com. Code SIZZLE at checkout.
Omaha Steaks, America's original butcher.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio.
That's GetJim.com.
97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
No clues from the jury. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. More than 3 hours after deliberations began in the hush money case against former President Trump in New York.
As former President Trump waits for a jury of 7 men and 5 women to decide his fate on charges of falsifying business records, he continues to claim that the entire proceeding is a conspiracy against his campaign and that he sees this case being discussed long after it's settled.
It'll be talked about in the history books. What's happening here is weaponization at a level that nobody's seen before, ever.
Jury members' decisions on each of the 34 counts must be unanimous to convict or acquit. If the jury cannot agree on any count, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg would have the option to retry the case.
Fox's Gernal Scott. President Biden is in Philadelphia.
As the gospel song goes, we've come too far from where we started. Nobody told me the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far, though, to leave me.
Campaigning alongside Vice President Kamala Harris.
They're using this event to announce their new initiative, Black Voters for Biden-Harris. That move to shore up a voting base that we know was incredibly important to them in terms of getting to the White House in 2020. And they know it's going to be incredibly important to them again this time around if Biden wants to stay in the White House in 2024. Part of this initiative and this campaign is making an 8-figure investment enforcement and engagement programs with Black student organizations, community groups, and faith centers nationally.
Fox Business's Madison Allworth. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito rejecting calls to recuse himself from Trump-related or January 6th cases, writing to members of Congress that the controversy over flags he says were flown by his wife is not grounds for recusal. America is listening to Fox News.
There are more identity threats than you realize. Even if you monitor your credit, only a little personal info needs to leak out, like your social security number or password,
for you to become a victim.
LifeLock alerts you to threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions, but everyone can save up to 25% off their first year with promo code NEWS. Go to LifeLock.com.
When life spells heartburn, how do you spell relief? R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
What about when life spells fried chicken?
R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Fourth cup of coffee?
Still R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Extra cheesy pizza?
Rolaids always spells relief. Rolaids' powerful dual-active formula begins neutralizing acid on contact to fight your heartburn fast. So, when life spells heartburn, Rolaids spells relief. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The northwest flow providing a gorgeous Wednesday afternoon. Sunshine in control, 77 for the high. Tonight, clear skies, 57 for the overnight low. Thursday, keep it going. Sunny skies, 78. Friday, partly sunny, 80 degrees. Maybe a spot shower Friday afternoon, but tough to find. Expect scattered showers and thunderstorms around, though, for the first weekend of June. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
All right, I want to talk to you about Michael's Flooring Outlet and why shopping for flooring at Michael's is a smart move. You care about your dollar, of course. You've worked hard for it, but you also have come to that time where you're going to make that decision to replace the flooring in your home. Also, potentially, maybe it's your commercial place of business, it's your church, and you need to go to a place you can trust. Good people, that matters. Michael's Flooring Outlet has those products for you, and they have the best staff in the business to make sure that you are accommodated. When you want to marry quality and value, you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. You can visit them 3 different places across St. Louis. If you are looking for them in St. Charles County, West County, or Darien Prairie, you walk in the store there, tell them Annie sent you, and start your flooring process, shopping process there. Now, if you've already gone to other places, they're cool with that. They are happy to have you compare notes between other flooring outlets and Michael's Flooring Outlet, because Michael's is going to be the best. They're going to win your business. You can check the reviews out online. You can check out their great products listed there as well. You can request an estimate. Everything you need when it comes to flooring that includes the very best in service with great people is at Michael's Flooring Outlet. Online at igotfloored.com.
Mark Cox here. Did you know the Rockwood School District is a great place to work? They're currently hiring school bus drivers, cafeteria workers, and custodial staff, as well as summer positions for mowers and landscapers. They have openings in Adventure Club, which is before and after school care. They offer competitive pay, flexible work hours, and a rewarding work environment. Discover the Rockwood Advantage and join an amazing team. Go to rsdmo.org/jobs. That's rsdmo.org/jobs.
Download the free Upside app and earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Download the free Upside app now and use promo code GIFT for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's promo code GIFT.
Hey guys, Glover here from my friends at ThrottleNet. So I'm so very proud to have represented the guys at ThrottleNet for all of these years. They are the IT geniuses. George and Mike are the owners. Fantastic guys. They can do all of your IT. They can do a portion of your IT. They have the best Apple support team. Their response time is under 2 minutes. Think about that, under 2 minutes. Something goes sideways with your IT, and they are solving your problem. And they're solving your problem within 2 minutes. Now, let's talk about cybersecurity. Most companies in St. Louis don't have cyber liability insurance. You get hit, you're on the hook, you're probably out of business. With ThrottleNet, if we represent you, we protect you. The first $500,000 that someone hits you for, which isn't going to happen, but if it does, we pay it. $500,000. That's what you're covered for with ThrottleNet. Go to throttlenet.com/DGS for all the information.
June 27th, Donald Trump debates debates Joe Biden, and you can only hear it here on 97.1 FM Talk. But you're also invited to the party. We'll all be at Dave & Buster's, so join us June 27th for the debate and visit 971talk.com/events. The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. We are watching right now. Let's get Shannon Bream up here in just a second. Brad, cue her up so that we can hear what she is saying. Just so we can get the latest on what is going on. We've got about 3 hours and 40 minutes into jury deliberation. Judge Merchan asked the jury if they'd be willing to stay late today, I think. When we spoke in 12:25, actually the 2/3 of the 12 o'clock hour, Brad Young was on to really break down for us what we've heard in the instructions to the jury from Judge Merchan, the idea of unanimity, the idea of how quickly a verdict could be returned or how long it could take. He certainly believes that a quick return would be a guilty verdict. So every minute that goes by is an important minute to see what ends up happening here. And I mean, this is really quite a moment in American history to pause and wait while former Donald Trump is waiting to find out what his fate is here in this trial. And I could call it the hush money trial, but it's not a hush money trial. I could call it a Stormy Daniels trial, but it's not really about Stormy Daniels. I could call it the Michael Cohen trial, but Michael Cohen is a convicted liar, and it's hard to imagine that that's the part that matters here. That's how ridiculous this entire thing is. I think you know it. I know it. I've talked to many Democrats who know it. And we sit here and we wait to find out what this jury is going to say, because nothing that we think from what we have had reported to us from the outside looking in, that's not what the jury's experienced. They've been there for the whole thing. So in just a minute, we're going to take your wedding advice, marriage advice, and give it to Ethan. But I do want to keep us up to date with what's going on in this trial and let you know that we are on it, we are watching it, and any news that breaks, we will have it. Let's listen to Shannon Bream here.
At the beginning, what kind of clues should we look for from a jury this early when they've got questions or they want, I mean, whatever they ask, if we can find out what they ask, that's always super helpful for us trying to guess where they may be stuck.
They have to put it on the record for both sides, so we will know what the note is. Generally, they're going to ask about a read back or to look at evidence, but I understand they took the laptops in, so they have the exhibits that have been marked into evidence in the jury room, in the deliberation room. I imagine it might be a read back based upon,
think about how many weeks ago. Okay, we're sitting in
6
there
weeks.
The days of Hope Hicks and David Pecker and all of these early folks that we heard from. It seems like ancient history, and so for them, as they're trying to piece the puzzle together as they have their deliberations, they may say, yes, we need something from week 2, which was a while ago.
There's truth to the saying, justice delayed is justice denied. And the truth is that this has been drawn out for so long. There was no justification for a week off for this jury from Tuesday to Tuesday. There was no justification for them not to be sequestered. This is the former president of the United States of America and the possible future president. Probable. And if in any case there should be a sequestration, it's this case. I would have said to the jury, bring your toothbrushes, tell the clerk who you want us to call, and you get 1 call each, not 2.
Okay, and by the way, we know that judges do different things and have different reasons for sequestering, for not sequestering certain trials. Why do you think this judge decided not to let them go about their business and go about their lives in something that is such a critical trial?
Well, let me ask you this. We know already that jury pool is from a group of people in Manhattan who are 85 to 90% anti-Trump. Vehemently
Just based on voting the last time around.
Based on voting.
We don't know how
a
these
lot
folks
of these,
voted.
But we don't know how these folks voted, but that's where, jurors come from. They come from the voting booth, not the voting
the
booth,
pool.
the poll.
Yeah,
the pool.
here.
And, so I think that is a danger. I think that in a case like this especially, they should have had them sequestered because there is so much chance, because there's so much on the line. This is a top job in the United States of America, and you're allowing the jury to go out and possibly be influenced or to even read a newspaper. I would say to a jury, you can't watch the news, you can't do any of that.
Yeah, and they didn't do that. So we're listening to Shannon Bream and Judge Janine as we are watching the clock tick by 3 hours and 43 minutes. That the jury has been deliberated. You are in the right spot for the news when it happens. 97.1 will have this coverage, the best coverage of it. So thank you for spending some of that time here with us. We're going to part ways with that topic just for right now while we continue to wait. We will go right back to it should some news break. We have, Ethan, you are getting married in how many days right now? What is it? How many days? Are there 31
I don't know.
days?
How far away is Saturday?
Saturday. Today is Wednesday.
Is that 4?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Is that 4?
3.
3? No, it's not. Is it actually?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's Wednesday.
Well, I guess
you count today?
Today's halfway over, so yeah. Jeesh. That's crazy. Man, that's crazy.
Marriage advice from Annie. Number 1. Hooray! Jeez.
Thank you.
Yeah. Elaborate excitement. I was having a conversation with Trisha before the show started. Trisha, you were going to have a baby. What's the due date?
July 16th.
Do you have a countdown?
48 days.
48 days.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I know.
It's crazy.
Or
Jeesh.
47. I don't know.
Mine's first. Haha.
Advice number 1. Marriage then baby. Yay.
Yeah, there
That's
we
the
go.
right order here. So you're getting married, Ethan, on Saturday. Trisha's got a baby coming in July. And she was asked, we almost put the show on hold because Trisha was like, I have another question.
The music was playing and Brad's like, please, ladies, please, let's do a show.
So I thought, while we were watching, because we don't know what's going to happen with this verdict, while we're watching for the verdict to potentially come down, which we could be on the edge of our seats right now, and we might be doing this next Wednesday, same thing. And if the verdict hasn't been reached yet, we will be here to cover it for you wall to wall. While we were waiting on that to happen, I said yesterday, people should give us marriage advice for Ethan, and then we should determine together if we think it's a good idea. Your philosophy on marriage advice, Ethan, as you said yesterday?
What did I say yesterday?
I said, do you like?
Oh yeah,
marriage
I mean,
advice?
there are. It depends on. I guess it's hard in this situation because I don't know the people that are sending stuff in, but who I take advice from, if on the people that I know, it's very important to me, that their beliefs, their ideals, their values line up at least to a certain extent with mine. Because if they don't, then I don't see a lot of like-mindedness there. There might be some disagreements there. So the respectful thing, obviously, is to always, say thank you, but
you can always
not
rely on a
always gonna
guy
take
named
it.
Russell. He says, Ethan, marriage advice. You're always right and your bride is always wrong. Just remember to run when you say this. See, he brought it around.
Yeah, part of that, right?
Seriously. Frank says, if your spouse falls asleep with a cigarette in their hand, don't light it.
We're going to get a real wide range of interesting comments on here, I'm sure. Some really intentional and some, I guess, I don't know. You think that he was serious about that one?
No, again, both of those at the conclusion of the point were good pieces of advice.
They are. That's true. That's true.
Bob said, Ethan, always try to be a better man for her and have the same goals in life.
Yeah, that's good.
Trisha's nodding her head.
Yep, that's a good one.
Trisha,
they've all actually been pretty good. Run, don't light the cigarette.
Especially the cigarette one. That's the one I've taken so far.
Yeah.
Putting that in the pocket for later.
I think that the effort to try to be better, it's hard when you become married. There is a complacency that can exist. And the idea of self-improvement for one another is always is still good advice to adhere and to focus on your self-improvement, not hers.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things pieces of advice I always give young men is try to be the man that the woman of your dreams would want to marry. Try to be the man that you would want your daughter to marry, and then try to be the man that you would want your son to grow up to be.
It's good.
So always try to be a better man for her and have the same goals in life is a great piece of advice.
Absolutely.
Christopher says, best marriage advice, pee when you can, not when you have to. Okay, that's more for when you have toddlers, but it works for adults too. That's a pregnancy advice.
That's what I thought.
I feel like that's more for Trisha than it
There's
is
a
for me.
bathroom. I'm just going to go. I've been married for going on 17 years this September. Brad, how long have you been married?
Well, that'll be 16 years for me on Friday.
On Friday. Marriage.
Congratulations.
16 years of marriage for Brad. And Trisha, you got married recently, more recently.
It'll be 2 years in September.
2 years in September. And does married life feel different for you than non-married life?
Yeah, I think it does. Actually, we've been together a long time, so we'll have been together 10 years in September. We got married, it'll be 2 years. And I do think it was it's funny because our commitment wasn't actually any greater, but it did feel like a deeper bond once we took that step and said, okay, we are family now officially. Like that, this is it. Yeah, I think a little bit it did.
It's a commitment, for sure. Bobo says, it's always said by people, but it really is so important. Never stop dating each other, especially once you have children. That one's for you too, Trisha. I'm the only one here with kids outside of the womb, but we have Trisha in here who is a mother. She's going to be having a baby in July. How much would you say, Ethan, that you and your fiance right now date each other? Because there's the difference between spending pretty much all your waking time together, like non-working, whatever, but like actually purposefully dating.
That's a good question because I think dating more so than, at least I would view it as, and it definitely can be, going out and doing things specifically intentionally together. But I think that the idea of, like you said, being intentional around each other and setting aside specifically intentional time and just being around each other are two very different things. I would say we do a pretty good job of remaining intentional with each other in the time that we are together. As far as going out, I mean, like, here's the thing. You guys know, being at the ballpark in the evenings,
you're hustling.
It's a very opposite schedule of what a lot of people have. So it makes it sometimes kind of difficult to be able to go out in the evenings and stuff like that. So not nearly as much of that, but we definitely have a lot of intentional time together.
Intentional is the operative word here, I think. And also, like when you do have kids, right now you've got work consuming a ton of your time. When you have kids, they become they are the sum of your relationship, and they become the focal point of your marriage and your relationship. And that's not wrong, but it is also important to remind each other that there is a separate entity that exists within your family, and that's your marriage. And it's a difficult thing. And I say this as somebody who has 4 kids who have 8,000 things to do every day. To find the time to remind yourself where this family came from, what the spark was to start with. It's a very difficult thing, and you really do have to be intentional about it. And, like for you, Trisha, having a baby around, a lot of people will, I think it brings you much closer together, but every relationship is different because you're going to be tried in ways that you haven't been tried before. And most of it just comes down to the lack of sleep. And I know you've got a ton of support around you, but there are times where once you do have those kids, though, you look at each other, you're like, look what we did. That's pretty cool.
No, I'm super excited about that. And I'm glad you guys are talking about being intentional. We were having dinner last night, and I thought, when there's a baby here, I hope I don't, oftentimes I get home from work and I keep work with me. I don't know if everybody does this. I'm assuming to some degree. And I just I get through my day, and then I get home and work is on my mind. And then my goal is to get into bed and sleep so I can get up and work the next day. I was sitting there having dinner last night, and I thought, I really hope when this baby gets here, I know to stop and prioritize what's actually important. And it's not that this isn't important, because I love you guys and this is great.
It's not as important as that is,
but
ever.
It can't be. It won't be. And so reminding myself that is going to even more so be the case, but also that's the case with my husband too. Like, my family is the most important thing. So it's not get to the finish line of the day. It make sure to enjoy that time that you have with intentionality, like you guys were.
I think the
speaking
thing
about.
that I realized that was really shocking to me after I had my first, but definitely after I had my second, I always felt like I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And especially after I had my second, I was like, I don't want to. I want to do other things. And the idea that I would be not at home, not spending 100% of my time making the home, it was like that was unveiled to me by the passage of time. And I always thought this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to stay at home. My husband wanted to be able to do that for me if we could make it work. And time went on and I'm like, I want to go back to work. And I wanted to go back to work. I just wanted to be able to do something else in addition to making that home. And, you know, as a spouse, you obviously, Ethan, aren't going to bear the children. But if you guys do decide to have children, it is a tough thing to, in your mind, think you know what your future looks like. And then what I've certainly noticed in my life, you know, you're a Bible-believing Christian like I am, that God will rip you away from the things that you thought were perfect for your life. And you're kicking and screaming. And then when you finally get to the destination that he wanted you to be in that instance, you look back and you're like, oh, ooh.
Isn't it funny how that works?
Sorry that I made that so difficult, not only on you, but also on myself. Why did I do that?
Yeah, when it becomes about what I believe that when it becomes about what we want and our own personal vendettas, our own personal goals, which aren't bad things to have, but when it becomes so focused on that, and as for me, being a Christian, not being willing to be obedient to the plan that the Lord might have for me, I feel like it all of a sudden becomes so much more difficult because God's going to put me where he wants me no matter what. And the more that I fight that, the more that I make it about me, the more challenging it's going to be. But I'm going to end up where he wants me no matter what.
Yeah. Having faith in that and having that, sharing that faith with one another is the key part.
Yeah.
Is to be able to know that you come together in something that is bigger than just yourself or herself or just the two of you, that there is something really amazing that happens when you do come together. And children is absolutely a part of what that can be for some people. Sometimes that's not in the cards for other people. But whatever God's plan is for you, it is set in motion. And it's also a big, for me at least, having been the kicking and screaming person being ripped away from things that I thought that I wanted, or having things ripped away from me kicking and screaming, that on the other end of that, it's always better. And once I've had to go through enough frustration and suffering to realize that when I was at the bottom of suffering and all I had left was not the prayer to fix it, but was the prayer to make me at peace with it. Okay, fine. This isn't going to go the way I want it to go. Will you please just give me peace? I don't even need to understand it. Just make my heart calm. And the sooner, for me, it was definitely time that allowed me to be able to come to that conclusion. But when you start to really, truly grasp that you're in God's hands, your marriage is in God's hands, and you're not trying to constantly push and maneuver and manipulate situations so you can get what you want, it really takes a lot of burden off of you to have to make all of these things happen yourself. Like, if you don't have to do it all yourself, if you're in God's hands, I mean, that's a relief.
Yeah.
I would think.
It's not my will be done, his will be done, right?
Yep.
Before we conclude, I'm assuming we're wanting to get to a break real quick. The last one I'm going to read here. Always take marriage advice from an internet chat.
Thank you.
That is good.
Anti-sober 14. Yeah, I appreciate it. Fred says, marry someone with a private jet. I don't know if that's the case, but if so, congrats.
Nope, not me. Couldn't be me.
Info Dude says, have an extra bedroom available just in case. I should have asked for the marriage status of some of these people first. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff here. Maybe we'll get to some more. When we come back, Trisha's going to talk about having a baby.
Yeah.
Hey-o.
She's got some questions.
So many questions.
Maybe you have some answers. Maybe you have some advice as well. We are watching 3 hours and 57 minutes into jury deliberation. Donald Trump waiting to find out his fate at the hands of these 12 on this jury in Manhattan. Judge Merchan, Alvin Bragg. Where will it go? We have it covered here on 97.1. We'll be right back.
I hear the drums echoing tonight.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Moonlit wings reflect the stars that guide me towards salvation. I stopped an old man along the way, hoping to find some old forgotten words or ancient melodies. He turned to me as if to say, hurry boy, it's waiting there for you.
The Retirement Advisory Group, you know, Thomas Helbig, Bob Kershaw, Tammy Kershaw. My friends there know how to help you transition from working to retirement. So much so that they can tell you how to get to a worry-free retirement. That seems nice. When you reach out to them at 314-993-9494, you can set up an appointment. And that appointment is going to be about you. That appointment is going to be about where you are right now in your pursuit of retirement, what you have, what you need to do. And they're going to help you understand the transitionary measures that you need to take to secure yourself a retirement that doesn't have to have that anxiety-ridden roller coaster ride of the market. You can be attached to it, but not necessarily directly in it. All the details, you get those from Thomas Helbig and the Retirement Advisory Group. Your appointment that you set up with them doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to pay for that. And when you get done listening to what they have to say, you are under zero obligation to do anything about it. So why not schedule an appointment today? Call them at 314-993-9494. You can find them online at retirementkey.com.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Marvin Mitchell and the team at Compass Retirement Solutions calls this mailbox money. It's a monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you are retired. Call Marvin Mitchell and the Compass Retirement Solutions team at 314-373-1598 to start working on a plan that can help you create the monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call 314-373-1598 right now and schedule a visit with Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
Baseball season is heating up. With the free Odyssey app, you can get the most entertaining local coverage of your team while you're at work or on the go. Stay locked in the know with your favorite hosts as they bring you unfiltered takes, react to the latest team news, and talk to callers. Don't miss any of the action. Stream the shows you love live or on demand with the Odyssey app. That's AUDACY. Download it today for free.
Mark Cox here. Did you know that over half the appointments Window World will set this year are either previous customers or referrals from those customers? That tells you all you need to know about Window World. One thing that separates this company from the pack is that commitment to customer service and their excellent track record with both the Better Business Bureau and other reporting agencies. I am a satisfied customer. I love their lifetime warranty. And in just over 20 years of business, they've helped over 72,000 customers in St. Louis improve the look and the thermal efficiency of their homes. Right now, Window World is offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. That is a great deal. Call them right now. Get a free home estimate, 314-993-1800. They'll show you why they are simply the best for less. That's 314-993-1800, 993-1800, or go online to windowworld.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsLHonorFlight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
For details and a list of all station contest rules, visit www.971talk.com/rules. This is your home for Democracy 2024. And St. Louis's home for conservative talk can stream on your phone through the Odyssey app. Democracy 2024. Tell your smart speaker to play it. 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Fry Show.
Yo, come on, move this. Shake that body. Shake that body. Shake that body. Shake that body.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Man, that brings me back to a time in my life foregone. We are watching right now as the Trump trial, the jury is deliberating for over 4 hours now. This could go on for days. They could come back with a verdict right now. When we spoke with Brad Young in the 12 o'clock hour, took a lot of questions as well there. He said if they come right back with a verdict, it's likely a guilty verdict. Let's listen in real quick before we get to an update on Trisha's situation, we're just waiting for something to happen. Situation. You said 48 days?
48 days.
Until due date. For baby Everding to come. And we don't think it come sooner than that. You never know.
I'm ready when he is. I'd like him to cook a little bit longer, but I'm also getting pretty antsy and a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Trisha, any advice that you may need, I am here for you. Just know
Great.
that.
All right.
That is perfect.
You are not Ryan Wiggins. You know that.
Well, I'm sitting in his chair.
Yeah,
I
that
hosted
chair's
Wiggins
doing
America.
Something about the chair. I see.
Yeah.
All right. Let's listen in real quick for an update from New York on that, and we'll get to Trisha next.
The defense has been begging for clarity about what this escalating offense really looks like. And now we see that the judge all along was going to let the prosecutors essentially have this 3 different prong approach to that escalating offense. So it's offensive as a criminal defense attorney. I think that the idea of representing a client necessitates that you have adequate notice of exactly what you're defending your client against. I think it's a major issue in this case, one that would be certain to go up on appeal if there's any sort of conviction. But this is what I think they all saw coming when the judge was so hesitant and reluctant to require the prosecution to provide that additional clarity.
So let's talk about that. If there is a conviction, we have no idea if that's where this case is going to lean, but if so, we're going to have an appeal. Is this judgment stayed on appeal? Is that up to the appellate judge at the next level? I'm not really sure here in New York, but if there's a conviction, it's going to take a while before you would get through the appeals process. Months, maybe years here in New York?
It would take at least many months to get through an appellate process. Typically on a first-time offense, especially where there's not a violent crime, it takes 3 or 4 months to do kind of a pre-sentencing assessment period. There is the opportunity to appeal to the appellate court to stay the sentencing until after the appeal is complete. So I don't see there being a sentencing ahead of the November election under the most likely circumstances here, although the appellate court could punt on that, require sentencing to be done, and that the sentencing be done right ahead of the November election, essentially.
So we're listening to some reaction right now from New York. That's Andrew Cherkasky. He's a former federal prosecutor, talking to us about what's going on in this trial as we wait for the jury to come to a verdict. Just an update from Fox News. Former President Donald Trump and defense team and the prosecution walked back into the courtroom late Wednesday after the jury delivered a note to the judge. The note came in at 2:56 p.m., of course, Eastern time, 1:56 our time. The jury made 4 evidence requests. David Pecker's testimony regarding the phone conversation with Trump, Pecker's testimony about his decision not to fund Karen McDougal's life rights, Pecker's testimony on the Trump Tower meeting, and Cohen's testimony on the Trump Tower meeting. The jury will be brought back into the courtroom for the requested testimony to be read back to them. That's where we sit, and that's where we wait. Lots of waiting, Trisha.
So much waiting.
Lots of waiting.
Lots of waiting and lots of going to the bathroom.
That's pregnancy.
For the jury or
Yes,
for Trisha?
maybe both.
You never know.
There's no way to know. It's not televised. Either of it.
Thank God.
So, Trisha, tell us where you are right now. The mental headspace. This is your first baby.
First baby. It's about 2 weeks ago. It started to get real. In that like under 10-week mark.
Was it just like, hey, I'm 30 weeks along, or was there something that caused
I think
that?
it was the single digit mark, and it was the single digit week mark. And now I'm pretty sure it's going to happen any moment, and I'm still a little bit far out to be feeling that way, but I don't know if it's just like wishful thinking that I'm at the home stretch and I'm so close. It's like any second now, this baby's coming, and so I don't know. My headspace is good. I'm excited about him being here. And in that regard, it's good. I am very, very, very scared to give birth.
I was just going to say, I recall when I had Charlie, he's my oldest. I recall when I had him, you're pregnant. Then there's a baby. Oh, crap. the transition time, that's all me.
Yeah.
I remember being at the birthing class that we went to. They kind of required you to go to, and they walked you through the hospital. And they had a circle up on the thing, and that circle was 10 centimeters big.
Ooh. Is it big?
No. It's tiny.
It's small?
It's like not even a big deal.
Okay. I don't want to see that poster. I want to see that poster. I'm sure that my baby's head's going to be very like normal size. But
I do.
like,
10 centimeters is 10 centimeters.
Okay.
They're going to give you a centimeter by centimeter update.
So I'm really nervous about that.
You're doing a really good job, really helping her.
Can I
not
say
be
something
scared.
though?
Yes.
This is so incredibly true. I heard other people say this, and I was like, yeah, sure. But your body was made to do this. Women's bodies and your mental state. I mean, okay, yeah, men are stronger than women physically. Like, I understand that. I respect that. Biology is biology. But what happens when a woman delivers a baby? It's not just like the physical strength to carry this child for 9 months. It's not just the physical strength to actually push and birth this baby. Or maybe it ends in a C-section. That happens for a lot of people. And if you have a healthy baby at the end and you're in the hands of good doctors,
all that matters.
That's all that matters is a healthy baby. And however you get to that conclusion. All of the anxiety and pressure that you start to feel when it gets closer is 100% natural. And at the end, you will go, I did it. And you'll look back on it and the fret that you have leading up to it and this mental shift that you will go into. I mean, it's to me one of the true signs of motherhood. You are pre-programmed with this ability to mother this child. This child is your child, and you will be its mother. And it is not just a name. It's not just like an accolade. It is an action word. And you've probably started to kind of see this as you've gone through this process, but this process is still a lot about you. As soon as you have that baby in your hands and you realize that equation is kind of flipped and God puts you in charge of this child and your husband in charge of this child, you were pre-programmed to do this. The scary goes away and you will after the fact go, that wasn't that bad. I would, if I could just do the delivery part and have the baby, I would go through all the delivery part and have the baby. I would have 50 children.
It's the pregnancy part you hate it.
Yeah, I hate it so much.
50, you say?
50. Yeah, let's go. Tax write-off after tax write-off. That's what it's
now
all
we're
about.
talking.
Yeah.
I think this must be you have to experience it because I've never heard a mother say, well, I guess I haven't talked to every mother, but all the mothers I've talked to say the delivery and the birthing process is actually the easy part. It's the first few weeks of life where you're like, oh my gosh, I got to take care of this baby now. That gets really scary.
The adjustment is difficult.
Yes, the adjustment being difficult.
You'll still be fine.
So, but again, leading up to it, I feel like you have to go through it to know, because right now it seems real scary to try to, like, a little sus to try to get this baby here. So
yeah, I can think of other conversations I've had with women who were going to give birth for the first time, and they had the same trepidation, like almost panic attack inducing trepidation. And then it just happens. And it, that'll be the case for you, and you're in wonderful hands, and you'll be really proud of yourself, and you should be.
how do I make it easier leading up to it?
Lots of epidurals.
Is there anything I can do other than just know that women have been giving birth for millions of years and it's part of life and nature? Is there anything I can do to ease my anxiety?
Nope, that's all you got.
No.
Okay.
I mean,
How about did you have any
Faith. Yeah, that's a
breathing
good one.
techniques? Did they like tell you to do anything specific like that?
This is what I did.
Who?
No.
No, not that.
Then
No.
you are turning into Ryan.
It's who
It's the
he.
chair.
Just kidding. It's the chair. I did whatever the nurses and doctors told me. I had somebody there who she was a doula. She was one of my dearest friends growing up. Is one of my dearest friends still. Mom, and she was a nurse, and she was somebody who was a doula for other people. I don't know that I would have had a doula. I'm not like a birth plan person. I was like, you guys do this multiple times every day. Tell me what to do and I'll do it.
I'm glad you didn't have a birth plan, because
Oh!
all the websites are like, make sure you've got multiple copies of your birth
Do you
plan. I'm like,
know-
I what?
If
Like,
you write out your birth plan, that's the thing that's not going to happen.
hey,
I wouldn't put it on paper.
So write out what you don't want.
so
to
write out
happen.
the opposite.
Yes. Yeah. I'd be like, here you go. You're walking into the hospital, janitor's cleaning the floor, and you're like, you need one too. And then make sure everybody knows, and then that's not what will happen.
Did you have any pre-pregnancy, like getting close to your due date? Did you have any like rituals, any stretches, any food you ate?
I threw everything up.
Oh.
So I ate for pretty much the whole pregnancy things that wouldn't taste terrible coming back up.
Yeah.
I remember throwing up.
Sorry, that's terrible.
I remember throwing up potato salad that was still cold.
Mm-hmm.
It tasted exactly the same coming up as it went. What's the matter, Ethan? Man, when your wife is pregnant, you're going to be like, can I get you some more potato salad? You have to be a trooper. You have to be like, you know what you have to say? You are beautiful.
That sounds like you've
You've
asking
never
to
been
just
more
get
beautiful.
screamed at.
You are.
What are
Why would you
guys
say that?
like?
Huh?
What are guys like whenever like the moment happens?
I'll tell my Jared story real quick. My husband, the first time that we had a baby, it's like in your situation, you don't know what's going on. You know what you've heard. And if you've heard 10 stories, they're probably 10 different stories. And Charlie was due January 4th. And I was thinking, a tax return needs to be before the end of the year. Let's get this going. They said that I was already far enough along. I had been dilated a little bit. And I think that they were going to induce me on December 27th. Christmas goes by. We stayed up playing pinochle at my grandma's house until like 3 a.m. And I was 9 months pregnant. Like I was fully pregnant. And we came home. I'm laying in bed. 7 a.m. hits and my water breaks. I leap out of the bed, standing next to the bed, doing the water break thing, which is just really standing there. And it was significant. And my husband is asleep because we'd stayed up real late the night before. And we're thinking tomorrow is the day we're going to. And I go, Jared. And he's like, what? I go, my water broke. And he leaps out of bed, standing next to the bed. And then he goes to the kitchen, but then he comes back to me. Then he completed 3 complete circles next to the bed. I go, Jared. And he's like, he got his hands out to the side. He's in a defensive stance position, ready to go to work.
He's going to catch that baby.
I'm ready to do what I have. I go, Jared. And he goes, he just stops and he's like out of breath. He's like, what? I'm like, I need you to get it together. And he's like, okay, what do you need me to do? And I'm like, I need some towels. And I need you to get the car on and ready. It was December 26th. It was cold. So he starts going, I'm like in the bathroom taking care of myself. I'm like, are you okay? He's like, yeah. You know, we had a partial bag packed or whatever. And Then we went to the hospital. 12 hours later, we had a baby in our hands. And then you just do what you think is best. That's all parenting is. It's a lot of guess and check. Sorry, kids, especially the early ones.
I'm just imagining him just like zone press defense, just ready to go.
Yeah, right. It's so funny. That's gonna tackle me. That's not gonna help anything here.
Is there anything that guys can say
You're
that is not
beautiful.
going to get their heads ripped
You're
off?
beautiful, but from a
For
distance.
Eddie's sake.
Mhm.
Is there anything that
During
he
labor?
can say? Or leading up in the days leading up to or labor? Yeah.
What do you need, honey? What can I do, dear?
Was there a point in your pregnancy towards the end where you were so uncomfortable that you got annoyed with Jared being around?
No, not with him. He knew how uncomfortable. Like he's always known. He's so great at it. Like he knows how uncomfortable I am and how like people see you and they're like, "Oh, you look like you could pop any day," and I'm like, "I'm gonna pop you today, now." Like just the grating of the pressure of having a 36, 37, 38, 39 week baby that you're carrying. It's a lot. And it was just like, we should stay home. Hannah, you need to stay home.
I feel like Eddie's been doing a good job with that because I don't necessarily want to hang out, but I need him close.
Yeah.
And just like,
I think respecting
like be there but
space,
not there kind of
yes.
thing.
You need help right now. You can't do everything. You shouldn't be doing everything after you have the baby. Should it be like the natural way that you have a baby? If it ends up in a C-section, C-sections, never had any, but my dear friends have. You got to recover. You're having a major surgery. The other way, you got to recover. There's a lot of recovery that goes along with that. You just need help. And the biggest thing is don't make her feel like she has to do everything. Let her do some of the sweet things. And I would always, people would be like, "Oh, how are you doing the first weeks?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me? He gets to take care of the baby for right now. For once, I just get to sit here and just be mine.
You
I'm me
created this,
again.
you brought this
Yes.
baby here. It's his turn for a couple of
Here
days.
you go.
Yes.
Take it.
Hospital bag. You mentioned that. Anything that has to be in that.
Lotion, chapstick, a robe. I would get like a light robe that you can wear over that you can sleep in or whatever. I don't know. You can breastfeed?
Yes. I'm going to try.
You need access.
Okay.
For the baby.
Okay.
It's true.
As opposed
It's
to
true. It's true, man. You're gonna. I mean, I've known you for a long time, Trisha, but you just become a free lady.
What kind of station is this again?
This
Conservative
is
talk.
KMOX.
Right.
No.
AM 1120.
Hey, man, families, that's where it's at. Get married, have babies, raise them in this great country. That's really what it's all about. Let's take a quick break. We'll get results from the YouTube live chat poll. Will Joe Biden be the Democratic candidate on the ballot in November? Yes or no? And any updates from the verdict watch while the jury deliberates in the Trump trial. We'll be right back.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Shake that body for me.
All right, let's talk about the Diamond Shop and how you can save, if you go into the Diamond Shop right now, 30% off of anything that is in stock. Beautiful jewelry at your fingertips right there in Clayton and a 30% savings. I'm going to tell you how to save a little bit more. When you go online to thediamondshop.net, thediamondshop.net, become a VIP. You log in all the way at the bottom. You fill out the form down there. It's a quick form, and you can save an extra 10% off just by being a Diamond Shop VIP. It's a smart way to save on something really special for someone. And I also want to point out that they have 6 months, same as cash financing for you. And if you're talking about 6 months out from May 29th, we're getting really close to Christmas. So if you were wanting to make this Christmas very special, start your shopping at the Diamond Shop and spread out those payments over the next 6 months to get something really extra special for that special someone. 30% off all in-stock jewelry, 10% extra off for VIPs, and 6 months, same as cash financing. It's at the Diamond Shop in Clayton, Missouri. They've been in St. Louis since 1910. Online right now at thediamondshop.net.
When you have Rhino Shield on your house, it does a couple of things for you. It beautifies the house, and it protects it from the harshest elements. And boy, do we see those here in the greater St. Louis area. You get instant curb appeal. It will stick to anything. Rhino Shield is the answer, no matter whether you're painting a home or a church or a business or a condo, because it's 100% waterproof. It takes care of the outdoor maintenance on whatever is on the outside of your home. The brick, the block, aluminum, steel, stucco. They can put this on with the 2 to 3 coat process. They're there about a week, and they do a great job. A lot of businesses have done it in the area. Several Firestones have done that. Vantage Credit Union over the years. Harlan Packaging down in DeSoto. Call Darren today and schedule your free estimate. 877-25-RHINO. Easy to remember phone number. Or go online today at 877-25RHINO.com. Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
All right, I'll do it, Trisha. The YouTube live chat poll, will Joe Biden be the Democrat candidate for on the ballot in November? Yes or no? We want to know your answer. Jump on Annie's YouTube page, vote in the poll, leave a comment, tell us what you think. The time is 2:51. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
June 27th, Donald Trump debates Joe Biden, and you can only hear it here on 97.1 FM Talk. But you're also invited to the party. We'll all be at Dave & Buster's, so join us June 27th for the debate and visit 971talk.com/events.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Trisha's still in here, and she's reading all of your comments about her baby that is 48 days away or sooner. So if you have something you want to tell Trisha, jump on the Annie Fry YouTube channel right now as she is sitting here just taking in the comments. We are listening right now. Let's get Alina Habba queued up here, Brad, if you don't mind, while I kind of set the table of what we've been watching. The jury is out for deliberations right now, 4 hours and 23 minutes into deliberations. Fox News radio affiliate 97.1 is going to have the top coverage that you need, breaking news when it happens. So if that Trump verdict is reached, we will be here in order to bring it to you when it happens. So keep it right here. We're grateful that you spent some of your time here with us. The YouTube live chat poll, will Joe Biden be the Democratic candidate on the ballot in November? Yes or no? Go vote on that while you're giving Trisha the advice. Don't confuse the two, if you could even possibly do that. Leave your comments as well. We'll feature a couple of those before we give you the results in a few minutes. Let's listen to what Alina Habba is saying in New York right now on Fox.
Really changed in terms of our perspective. Listening to the jury charges was concerning, to be honest. I think that they were, and it's been widely reported since we came out of the jury charges, that there is clearly any of the 4 underlying crimes that he could have done. They don't care what it was. The judge said basically all you have to do is figure out whether there was intent or not. And there has been no proof of that. But the judge gave a very, very generous bandwidth to the prosecution. And I think that's why the president's comments and sentiments are exactly accurate. You know, Mother Teresa really couldn't get out of this one, because if you say, if you have intent for a scintilla of a second, and it could be for anything, for any one of these 4 things, taxes, campaign, all the things that frankly they showed no evidence of, but they gave them so much breadth that I have concerns.
Do you have faith, though, in fellow New Yorkers as a jury of your peers? I don't know that it's possible to find a jury of your peers for somebody like a former president, but faith in the system here and these New York jurors is now, his fate sits in their hands.
Shannon, I haven't had faith in the state of New York since I saw what they do to President Trump and started working for him. I'll be honest with you, what I've seen over the past few cases, what I've seen in some of the other cases in the state of New York, what I've seen with the coordination with DAs and AGs, and we have some information that's come out today, obviously, about judges' affiliations and other things like that. I mean, it's corrupt as can be. And unfortunately, the state of New York has failed its citizens, and we're seeing it time and time again. But it's failed its citizens for one party, and that's silencing the Republican Party. And it's not right. It's un-American. And frankly, at this point, I've had enough angry sound bites in these courthouses now. I could say almost entire block. I was down there for 11 weeks. I was at another courthouse behind me for 3 weeks, and now I'm here. It's a disgrace to the American people, and we should all pray to save our country, frankly, at this point.
So Alina Habba talking in New York as they are on jury, the verdict watch for Donald Trump, New York v. Trump. The jury is deliberating, and we will have coverage of that right here on 97.1 when that verdict is reached. It could be today. It could be in the next week. We don't know. We just have to wait on the jury to determine what that verdict is going to be. The YouTube live chat poll for today, will Joe Biden be the Democratic candidate on the ballot in November? I am a hard no, have been, will continue to be, may possibly change my mind sometime after the convention. But there's also news now. The Hill reports that the DNC plans to virtually nominate Biden ahead of the convention amid the Ohio ballot concerns. So they're going to try to put him on. They're going to do it virtually before the convention even happens. I don't know. Brad, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm a hard no on this as well. I've been that way since the beginning. I just don't see him making it across the finish line.
I agree with you. I think your reason is maybe a little different than mine. Carlos says Biden is a guy. As far as the guy, for right now, yes. Andy said, I voted yes, but would be nice if they could find someone else somehow without creating drama, since it wouldn't be Harris. And Chris says no, the Dems will pull someone else in, and still afraid to say Michelle. So right now, thoughts and feelings are mixed among the Annie Fry listeners. We always appreciate your input on the live broadcast. The results came in, and I said last poll, the time we did this, I think it was 56% said no. This time, 56% of 200 votes say yes, it is him. But that's still pretty close. Keep it right here on St. Louis's home for conservative talk, 97.1 FM Talk. Mark Reardon picking up where we leave off as we watch for a verdict in New York versus Trump. Don't go away.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility in this election year? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 38 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
What's wrong with Rick? He's kind of spacey.
That's Rick's identical twin, Scott. He's not used to answering to Rick.
What's going on?
Rick asked me to keep it secret, but he asked his twin to cover his shift so he could go to Diamonds Direct to shop.
But this is a jewelry store.
Exactly. But the prices and selection are so much better at Diamonds Direct. Rick doesn't want the boss to get suspicious, so Scott's here in case the boss sees Rick at Diamonds Direct.
But that would mean that the boss is at Diamonds Direct too.
Yeah, we have a lot of secrets.
You never know who you'll run into at Diamonds Direct. With unbeatable direct importer prices, the highest quality diamonds, the most sought-after designer rings, the best customer service, the strongest guarantees in the industry, it's just a no-brainer.
You think